Okay, but why is it doing that?
Is your computer
You're saying
microphone on? Yes,
Yes, it is.
Go
Down
to
there
the
on the
left.
bottom.
Right here?
Yep.
You should be able to just click it down there.
Where? There?
On the speaker.
One of those. This is a test.
Yeah, I picked it up.
Okay, did that work?
Ma'am, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you just fine just now.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
You can do that.
All right, we'll be ready.
Yes, I can hear you just fine just now.
Wait a minute, what happened?
It's the feedback. Is it that computer?
Maybe just turn the volume down on the computer and then,
Yeah. Kind of, I know on the computer itself. I need keyboard on that. Keyboard.
there you
Yeah.
go, that one. Hopefully,
All right,
Something's different.
that's all right.
okay, we're learning. All right, ready to? Are we recording?
Are we recording?
We're recording.
All right,
Okay.
call the meeting to
And we're
order.
live.
Okay.
With the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We'll do roll call.
Councilmember Kyleman,
Present.
Councilmember Happy,
You'll be late.
Shortly.
Councilmember Seeger,
Here.
Councilmember Pruitt,
Here.
Councilmember Price.
Present.
Councilmember Cramlett
Here.
and Mayor Wood.
Here. All right, additions or amendments to the agenda.
Not done.
All right, adoption of the consent agenda.
Make a motion to adopt the consent agenda, which includes the approval of the action minutes of March 23, 2026 action minutes, and the ratification of the bills in the amount of $445,269.27.
All right. Got a motion and I got a second. Do we have any discussion?
I just want to know that are we keeping the running totals on the Zimmer and Bone contract, just so we know how much we're spending on that?
Yes, they're on, aren't they on the bills list? Aren't they on the front sheet? Yeah, they're on there.
Yeah.
I think we did receive two new invoices that aren't on here. They would be on the next one. These bills were already done.
Any other discussion or questions? All right, so I have a motion on the floor by Pruitt, second by Sherrill. All in favor, say
Aye.
Sorry. That was a test to see if you guys were paying attention. Opposed, say no. All right, so it passed unanimously for approval of the action minutes of March 23rd, 2026, and ratification of the bills in the amount of $445,269.27. The motion was made by Pruitt and second by Sorrell.
Right.
All right.
You call one by the last name and one by the first.
I know, because it's price, right? Okay, sorry. You guys are so technical.
I'm just trying to keep you consistent.
All right. Appearances of interested citizens to share on a variety of perspectives on issues facing our community. None. Special reports, none. Public hearings, none. Reports and presentations, department reports, electric department, Alan Fox. All right, please come forward.
Sure.
Thank you for coming tonight.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me. I appreciate it. I always reached out to you guys before this, so now that I'm here, I extend that same opportunity. If you guys ever want to meet here, talk about stuff, you're more than welcome to. I kind of wanted to go over a few things that I think are really important. The biggest one being the wildfire mitigation plan. I think, as you guys know, with all electric utilities, that's a major issue nowadays. This is the plan. I'm sure you guys can get access to it that Cascade Law submitted in 2022. This outlines a bunch of stuff, and we've done almost none. So we started doing the tree trimming. We did a lot of that with Yates here. We're continuing to do it now. We're having a little bit of equipment problems. I'll kind of go over that in a little bit here. One of the biggest things we're missing out on is in here, we said that poles would be tested, an intrusive test on an 8-year cycle. The last time we've done it is 21 years ago. So that's something that we desperately need to do. I thought about having our guys do the testing. You need special equipment, you're handling hazardous materials, and then under the RUS bulletin that our plan outlines, I was reading through it, and what they consider qualified employees need to inspect a minimum of 5,000 poles in conjunction with an inspector and another 5,000 under close supervision. We'll never do that. We have 800 poles on the system, give or take. So it would be hiring a company to come in and do it. Jordan started with a company called Polehawk. Before I got here, they seem to do a pretty good job. It's one of the opportunities we have. I did get an estimate from them. It's about $60,000. So, but that's to test the entire system. So instead of doing what most utilities do and do it like 12% of their poles a year, we would just do it one time since we don't have enough poles to continue having keep coming back and doing a certain percent a year. So this wouldn't be an expense that we have all the time. I think we can push that 8 years out to the 10-year, the mandatory 10 years. We don't have to be better because we do look at our system all the time. We have a small system. So I think we can justify a 10-year cycle. But this is some inspection that we desperately need to get done. It's very possible that a bunch of poles out there that we're not aware of bad. Most poles start rotting at below ground level as opposed to up high. Up high we can always look at, but ground level rotting is what typically occurs, and that's where the poles are typically going to fail. So once we do this testing, it's very likely that we'll have a lot of poles that we have to replace, and they will be classified as hazard poles. And so we'll have to do it in a very timely manner. So that's just something to be aware of. I'm hoping that it's something that if it's, 30 to 30 poles or something, then our crew can handle it in a timely manner. If it's 100 poles, we might want to get a contractor in here to help us get the worst ones out of the way, just so we can get it done. Yes.
What was the name of the company?
Polehawk.
Do you have the report from 21 years ago? Like, do you know out of how many poles we had, how many had to be replaced?
No, I don't. The only reason I know that is because the poles are required to have a date tag on them, and the last date tag we have is 21 years ago. So, but I don't know where any of that information is. It would be.
I do have another question. Are they gonna be testing the ones that we don't have access to, where the train tracks?
Yeah, they'll be testing everything. Yeah, so they'll be walking into these poles. It won't be, this isn't a truck access inspection. They use drones and they use, the newest technology is called a Thor's hammer. It's basically an audio signal that they send through the butt to check the condition of it. Yeah.
Sorry, since we're kind of going along.
Yeah, go ahead.
So after we get 100% testing done and we move to this 10-year cycle, are we going to continue to do 100% testing moving forward after that, or are we gonna pull?
That's what I would recommend, because if we couldn't really step back, right? Because if we did, then poles would go past the date line. So Again, because our system's so small, something to consider too is these companies have drive time to come here and set up. So they can test quite a few polls, probably 200 polls a week, so you're looking at maybe a month's worth of work. So if you brought them down here for 3 days and then paid them to drive somewhere else and finish off their week, we're just paying a lot of money for their travel time. And I think it'd probably just be easier here for everybody to remember and to budget and know when it's coming up. And we just set it on there and we know that, you know, at this time, all the polls are gonna be done again.
Any other questions?
Okay.
Well, I guess I just wanna add, I was gonna hold my question to the end, is there a
Yeah,
preference?
sure,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
If we can, hold them to the end. If we get too many stacked up, then we can,
Okay.
okay.
The other thing I wanted to talk about is the SPCC, the spill prevention and control countermeasures. We're not storing our oil filled transformers properly. If there is a spill, we will be held liable for that, and the environmental impact and expense can be extreme. Sometimes transformers contain hazardous materials. The yard we have down now is just sitting in the grass, flowing down by the river. So we are required to have an SPCC plan and a place to store these transformers. I unfortunately am not able to do that. That needs to be engineered. So we need to find a piece of land that we want to use, possibly down where they're at now. It might be okay. Maybe we could do it out front here if we move trucks a little bit. That's something we'd have to figure out what piece of land is gonna be best for this, but we will have to talk to an engineering firm. This has to be engineered and designed. What I'm doing now is all the transformers that are out there that are old are going away. It should be within the next 20 days now, a company's gonna come in and take all of that. They're taking transformers, reclosures, capacitor banks, CTs, PTs, stacks, everything. That yard's gonna get cleaned out of all the old transformers. There's a few transformers that tested high PCB content, which I'm finding very troublesome to get rid of, but I'm working on that. The existing transformers that are left, all our new stuff, I don't have anywhere to put them that's legal, so I'm not really doing much about it now. I think that we need to address where to put them and have a permanent solution as opposed to just move them around a little bit, even though it's not really gonna solve the issue. Mapping. So this is one thing that frustrates me about your lot, and I brought this up. So I met with a guy out there doing a project out at Multnomah Falls, and I go out there and I'm talking through him about, you know, what we expect from them and where the wire's gonna go. And he's asking me questions like, well, where does this wire feed? And it's like, I don't know. I don't. My GIS mapping system shows a straight line through Multnomah Falls. It doesn't show a J box over here. It doesn't show what transformers it feeds. So it's really difficult to do my job when I don't know where everything is. We're going off of, you know, there's some people that have been here for a long time that have a pretty good idea where things go, but you can't expect someone to possibly remember everything. We had an outage schedule the other day. We thought it was fed from one vault. We looked in the vault, it's not there. We go to the next vault, it's not there. We go to the next transformer, it's not there. And then eventually we find a vault that we didn't know was there, and that's where the actual cable was fed from. We had a 911 call last week. We go out there and I was thinking, okay, if I didn't have somebody here that knew this area, what would I do? I'd drive up, I'd see a house on fire and I'd see a pole with a riser on it, and I have no idea where that underground wire goes. So maybe I open the transformer, maybe that'll kill the customer, maybe it won't, I don't know. Fortunately, there was a can in the backyard, but again, if you don't know where that transformer is out, you wouldn't know it's there, and you wouldn't know that that house is fed from that transformer. So this really delays our response in an emergency to something like that when we do not have everything mapped. Some of the options I found for that is we could buy a locator. They're about $15,000 for one that can do GPS coordinates. And so rather than having a company do everything, what I was hoping is maybe this next winter, after we clear up everything through fire season, I can have my guys go through and locate every inch of cable and map where it goes. We would have to hire a firm that could input this into a computer, but we would collect the data for them. Okay. The last thing I wanted to talk about was equipment. Since I've been here, the truck that I drive is broken down, had to get the front end redone in it. Bucket truck broke down with the brake sensor on Monday. We got a new part, got it running, took it out Thursday, broke down again. PTO wouldn't go in. All tech came out today, replaced the part. We got the PTO working. So all last week I didn't have a bucket truck. So it makes it very difficult to tree trim when you don't have a bucket truck. This is one of those things, I can't tell you how often this stuff is gonna break down. The pickup I'm driving is 21 years old, the bucket is 13 years old, and the line truck we have is 21 years old. This is stuff that, of course, we rely on in an emergency. We need this stuff to almost always work. And I can't guarantee that newer trucks would always run, but the odds are that they would be way more reliable than the older trucks. So I think that we really need to pay close attention to replacing these trucks in. I mean, the longest you'd wanna go is maybe 15 years for the bucket trucks and line trucks. I don't think we really want trucks older than that. You're just gonna start having a lot of issues. And again, it's not like if I'm in the middle of an outage and my bucket truck breaks down, we're in trouble. If we have a pole that breaks and I'm going out to replace it with a digger and my digger truck breaks down, we're in trouble. So, we definitely wanna have really good equipment if we're gonna take care of our customers here. So, those were 4 of the major issues that I wanted to talk about tonight. I did fill out, kind of like my experience. I did this about the first couple weeks I was here. I filled a piece of paper out here and it's kind of just my original assessment and I still stick to pretty much everything. So if you guys wanted a copy of this covers a little bit more of the long-term goals that I think we should be looking at too. But these are ones that I think that we need to start looking at hard right away.
I would like a copy of that. Would all of you guys like a copy too? So yeah, we would like all council to have a copy. And who has a question first? Go ahead, Courtney.
Is there a price per pole estimate, for?
So a pole costs about $1,500. The equipment on the poles can vary drastically though. So, most of the equipment we reuse, but I would say we're probably looking at somewhere around the $2,000 a pole range. Again, some poles going out to YF that are just single phase with one insulator, no cross arms are gonna be in the 1,500 mark, maybe even a little bit cheaper, but some poles in town that have double arms on it or stuff are gonna be closer to the $3,000-4,000 range.
And then is this a locator, is it reusable for anything?
Yeah, we'd still use it as a locator and we would use it in the future. So any new installations, we would be able to map. And being we're trying to go to a complete all new constructions underground, anything new we added in the future, we would be able to map it this. And it would be just as simple as having a company that already, maybe the one we currently work with, or maybe this pole hawk that Jordan started a relationship with. One of those companies just adds it to their maps and that should be pretty easy moving forward.
And then is that the price for a new unit?
That is the price for a new unit, yes. So it's maybe we might be able to find a used unit, yeah. Yeah.
Yes, Bernard.
Okay, so, needless to say, I support the pole inspection project, the 800 poles. That $60,000 quote from Pole Hawk.
Mhm.
Did we go through a bid process to determine that? How do we I assume there's other folks who do that work.
Yeah, there is. So the reason I got a bid from them is because we already were working with them. So Jordan already had established relationship before I got in. We've already spent some money on them. They've already partially mapped our system for us. So in order for them to complete this work, I need to have them complete the inspection on the system. So we could get other quotes, but beans were already, I think, about $30,000 into Pole Hawk. That's why I kind of thought our best bet at this point would be to continue with them and have them finish their mapping that they started for us. They can map the overhead, but they can't see the underground. We have to go through and locate all the underground ourselves.
Right, so I don't know, Mr. Chairman, what the purchasing policy would look like, given this situation.
We'll have to review it.
All right, needless to say, I'd like us to make sure.
Yeah.
When a bid requirement is, a quote's required, and we're doing that, at first glance, that doesn't seem like a reasonable price, 800 poles for 60,000 seems pretty reasonable, but I don't know the market to make that a good assessment, and it's uncanny how you go, oh, they got a good deal, and then you poke around in the morning, you can get it for half price, so, needless to say, that would be my first, but for the words record, I want to spend the money and get it done, I support you completely.
I did reach out to another company as well, Osmos, which is the largest one in the Northwest. They never responded. I don't know
Okay.
why. Maybe it's too small of a system. They're not even worried about building a relationship with us. I'm not sure.
All right.
So,
And then on that 2022 wildfire mitigation plan, can you talk a little more about what is your prioritization? Can you just give us an overview? What are the key things that it laid out we need to do, and what in your mind what's we gonna do first, what's gonna second, how, what do you have kind of mapped out?
Okay.
And obviously, I assume there's gonna be some prioritization here, as we're in low snowpack, you know, God knows if it's gonna be hot summer or not, everyone's worried about, at least I am.
Yeah.
And so we need to be, in your limited crew, you know, we need to be, make sure we're very prioritized on what you're doing for the biggest bang, you know, to reduce risk. And I would argue, even if it costs more, if it's a higher risk reduction,
Yes.
I would support doing that.
Okay.
Now, I'm not necessarily saying biggest bang for the smallest buck.
Yeah.
I'm talking risk mitigation. That would be my priority.
Yeah, so, yeah, definitely, I agree with you completely. So there's a bunch of things in here, fortunately, that I can do. So a lot of these are reclosure management, wildfire settings, putting the reclosure in sensitive settings during fire times. More patrolling of the lines during high fire season. There's modifying our construction standards, so I've already changed some things. We bought covers for all of our transformers, we bought covered jumper wire, so that stuff was relatively cheap that we've already implemented, and we won't start installing that on all new installations or any location that we've worked on. One of the other big things, of course, is tree trimming and right-of-way clearing. So the right-of-ways need to be flat. We want, if something happens and a wire comes down, if a right-of-way is this big, it's mostly green and it doesn't burn very easy.
Correct.
If the right-of-way is this big, it catches on fire. So right-of-way clearing is really important, not to mention we want really good access all year round to these structures. And so that is something that just has to go on all the time. It's just, everything grows so fast around here, we just have to stay up on it. So tree trimming and right-of-way clearing is one of the biggest things that we can do right now. Other than that, it's, the bigger things is gonna be, undergrounding our lines, right? We could reconduct our tree wire. It helps in some cases. I don't love tree wire because it breaks and stays hot and it can be really dangerous for people. It does cause less fires, though, they found out. A lot of places are going to tree wire, but I think we've looked really hard at what it would cost to underground some of these sections of line through the wooded areas, and we say, I think we should try to come up with the money and just underground it, as opposed to maintaining the right of way every year, trimming the line every year, and then reconducting and replacing the poles. So I would rather go that route and just see if we can make it work. My crew can underground lines, like we can trench, we can conduit, we can pull wire, like we can underground lines. So I think this year we're really busy. I'm hoping by next year we get caught up and that we can start really focusing on some of that stuff next year.
Okay, and when it comes to undergrounding, is there a priority there? When
Yeah.
last time we had a conversation with the electric, it was just Derek, but
Yes.
again, he's knowledgeable to a certain extent.
Yeah.
He was saying, Eagle Creek near there, was a high priority, but he didn't say among all our priorities, so
Yeah.
it's not clear to me. Have you kind of taken your assessment on that?
No, it's really hot. So one thing I didn't know before is we used to drive our truck on that to maintain that line. We cannot do that. That bridge was never, from what the only records the state could find is that bridge was engineered for about 30,000 pounds. Our trucks run between 32 to 36. So that's from the very beginning. They're 105 years old. They're inventory as pedestrian structures now. They haven't been inspected for safety. Like, we can't take trucks up there.
So you can't.
So I can't maintain the top with the big trucks anymore. I can't maintain the bottom with any trucks anymore because I can't get anything in there anymore. Those trees up on the hillside are gonna continue to fall and take that line out. It is a low risk of fire, but that's the only thing we got going for us, is if it hits that.
Because it's right.
Because it's right on the walk, yeah. That's the only thing I have going for us, but yeah, that line is bad. There are broken poles down by the railroad tracks that I'm going to have to pack poles in and do. I don't think I can do it with 3 guys. I think that I can get the material over there and we probably have to have a contractor who come in and actually do the work, because it's just too much manual labor, setting poles by hand. But we will do everything we can to get all that work done ahead of time, and then maybe just have a contract crew come in and we'll just shut that line under a day, and then we'll work with them out there and we'll just move the poles out that need to be replaced. But again, that's very expensive. Undergrounding, unfortunately, is a really difficult place to
It's
get.
almost like boring through rock,
Yeah,
right?
I talked to the state about maybe we could bore under the tunnel, but they said it's solid rock. Maybe we can bore into the hillside and go around. Maybe we can come up at Eagle Creek. There's really not a lot of good options. I do plan on, if it's something we wanna move forward with, I'll meet with some contractors that bore for a living and get some of their ideas and give it, if they give me a ballpark figure on what do they think it would cost to bore it. I have a few different ways that we can address the historic bridge crossing down there, we might be able to come overhead since we already have overhead in the park and cut down some of the costs there. But yeah, that's a tough one.
Oh, okay, so, but if I'm hearing you right. In my head, there's like. I don't know, 4 areas of undergrounding, there's what you just mentioned.
Yes, water,
There's the Wyatt, and then
Well, not
stuff
the falls.
further on South Bank, you
Yes.
know.
yeah, absolutely.
So of those, call those 4 areas, how would you prioritize them?
So I wanna start with Eagle Creek first because it's the only one that I can access very well.
Right.
So that's why I wanna get that one done, is that I know poles are gonna get red tagged there when we do this inspection, which
Right.
means we have to change them.
Correct.
So that's why I'm pushing pretty hard for that one right now. Wyeth is a relatively easy one to do, but it's also a really long one to do, so we could do it in sections, there's nothing, it's not a big deal to dig. 1,500 feet of ditch, and we put 1,500 feet underground, and then we go back overhead again, and then we worry about some more later. Multnomah Falls, I'd like to do again, we can access those poles, but it's just an eyesore, it's right there in the most visited place in the quarter, so.
Sure.
I'd like to get rid of that, it's definitely aging out there as well, we do lose, we've been out there to repair stuff quite a few times, and in the snow, it's pretty difficult to get in there. And then, of course, all those right of ways that are back there going up farther down south, maybe on a single phase. So why I'd like to do Wyatt, because it beats my house, I would say it's one of the easiest areas for us to maintain. We can get to there year round, we don't have to drive, usually someone can plow it for us. When we go out to South Bank and try to get on those access roads, we can't get in there. Like, no one's plowing that, it's a dirt road
Yeah.
and it turns muddy and trucks get stuck. So I would say we probably focus on Eagle Creek, then South Bank, getting the worst areas there that are really tough to trim and maintain, and then probably Multnomah Falls and then eventually Wyeth.
Okay, well. I don't know if there's a way you can do kind of a risk assessment, but part of me says, and maybe I'm just gun shy, because prior to Eagle Creek, the fire before that was out at Wyatt. I don't know if you know that, 2005, right? That was a gnarly fire that almost took out the whole town.
Yes.
And it happened on a strong east wind day,
Yeah.
which we have in the fall.
Yeah.
And again, those are some vulnerable lines. East wind out in Multnomah is not near as gnarly as out here, you know? So I don't know, again, I assume you're gonna do that assessment
Yeah.
when we finally start to work on these projects.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I will add one thing to that, so my house is flexible because I can shut the power off to Wyeth if I need to. I can't shut the power off to South Bank because there's too many people out there, they only have wells for their
Right.
water.
Yeah.
So it's just me.
Fair enough.
I'll just tell
Well,
them.
but you also have the state park, there's like 5 customers out there.
Yeah, so the
right?
state park is the
I know,
bathroom.
yeah, they're,
Yeah,
they're
and
not-
then across the road there, they don't seem to.
There's like an
very much.
ODOT
Yeah.
service.
Yeah, the railroad tracks but they got battery backups out there, so yeah, while we can't shut it off for a week, the railroad's obviously not defrosting the track in the summertime, so we
Right.
don't really have to worry about that.
Yeah.
Yes, the
Okay.
park might want power on, but again, it's not that big of a deal to shut power off there for, 24 hours if we had to.
All right, let me move on to a few more, sorry.
Yes, you got, how many more you got? Cause I wanna be fair.
Okay, I had 3 more,
Okay.
how do you typically dispose of these transformers that have the toxic?
So, yeah, and it's a lot I've learned about this, so, we actually sell the ones that don't, which is really nice, so we're actually making money getting rid of all these other transformers.
Okay.
So that's a good thing.
Yeah, okay.
The other part is there's not many companies that will handle the PCBs is what they call them. There's not many companies that'll do it. From what I understand, there's only like 3 facilities in the United States that will get rid of the oil, which it has to be incinerated. We cannot transport the oil. Once we know it's hazardous, we can't touch it anymore. It's done. We have to have a company come in, they have to load it up, they haul it away, and they incinerate it. I don't have prices yet. I was working with a company called Patriot. I thought everything was fine and they just stopped responding to emails. So now I'm working with 2 separate companies. One's based out of LA and the other one is national and has headquarters all over the place. So that is just kind of,
Okay.
I'll know soon.
All right, but there are folks who do this.
There are folks that do this.
Good to hear,
Yeah.
okay. And then, I had mixed feelings on the GIS mapping.
Uh-huh.
There's part of me that says you contract out for that and you don't buy a bunch of equipment.
Yeah.
And then they're experts at it and we don't have to deal with it and we just get the products and then we use them.
Uh-huh.
But there's also parts understand how it's nice to own it, and then, you can do future requirements. I don't, when developers do work now, Mr. Zimmerman, don't they provide, the maps that show where all the lines are done once they're done with their project?
Yes,
These days, we get that, right?
yes, within the building, the as-built.
Right, so it would show that. I guess I have mixed opinions on that. I can see both sides of that, and I just trust you'll do that analysis before we go out and spend money.
Well, the other thing to understand is we can use it not only for the electric department, but we can map our water a little more closely. We can map our sewer lines. There's other things we can use that equipment for.
Alright.
Spread the costs across multiple departments.
Okay,
And it should work for years and years. And then the other thing I would say too is if we're starting to do our own conversions, then we would need to map it ourselves too.
All right. oh, sounds good. Needless to say, if water's used, then it gets budgeted among the utilities.
Yes.
We can do that.
Okay. All right, so last thing, those equipment, the vehicles you were saying they're getting old. I mean, needless to say, please put that in the budget.
Yeah.
For this coming fiscal year, and let's have that conversation. The fact that you're in a 21-year-old your truck, I don't like that. Like, again, it's our most critical asset, and our senior manager is driving around a 21-year-old. That is not a responsible management of a utility, so. You have my support on getting that equipment, not necessarily today, but deliberately, let's take one piece at a time and start getting this whole place.
Yeah.
All right, Courtney, you got questions? All right, Tiffany.
So, I think it's good for is it GIS or GPS?
The GIS is the current mapping system we use. The GPS is the technology that the new locator would use.
Okay, so I think I understand what you're saying, but I think it's good, I think it would be good for the employees to be able to see physically everything where everything is and have to go to that spot and figure it out, so I mean.
We need it, yeah. The question is, do you always or contract out? That's the question.
Yeah, and I think if we can share it across different departments, that would be
Yeah.
really great. So, have you had a chance to look at the budget? How do you think that all of these that you?
No, I haven't looked at an updated budget for this coming year yet. I would assume we'll probably start talking about that.
It's gonna be close.
Okay.
So we have, and then a question for all of us, is it the light department or the electric department? Because when even reading tonight's budget, even reading tonight's council packet, some places it's the light department, some places it's the electric company.
It's City Light, South Bank, but it's all one electric utility.
I think we need to pick one name and stick,
Electric.
yeah,
We do way more than just lights.
Yeah.
So
yeah, so I don't know, just.
if I get a vote.
Yeah, just make you sense worth it,
Electric, are you done?
yeah.
Did you have a
Just
question?
a quick point on this GIS, I mean, yes, it sounds expensive, but when you're talking about having 5, 6 people standing around. While one guy is trying to find a certain conduit that's going who knows where, that adds up real fast.
Yeah.
Real
Yes,
fast.
not already with that, yeah. I agree.
All right, Tom.
And so you've got Derek as a resource for, been here, but have you talked to Bill Randolph, or did he go back to 70?
Yeah.
Where this stuff was all the way in.
So if he wants to help us map it, right, somebody walking me around and showing me where this stuff is, like, there's no way we can address the whole system, and there's no way I can remember the whole system. And that's what I'm noticing with someone who's been here for as long as Derek has. Is that you just can't remember all that information. Like, we need to have access to it, and we also need to start thinking ahead to the next generation of people that come in here, because sooner or later, we won't be here. And then maybe the next guy's only got 2 years of experience that comes in here and runs this place. We need something that we can hand him and he can do it. I've told, since I started doing call outs here, I said, the only reason that we need somebody with us when we do a trouble call in Cascade Locks is we don't have a map. You could send, PGE would send me to downtown Portland with just my contract crew, and I could find, locate, solve, and fix a problem and make sure all the customers were restored. I can't do that here because I don't know where stuff goes. So eventually we want all of this stuff met. Sorry.
That's what I'm thinking, is Bill may be a resource to.
Yeah.
A lot of that underground that was put in, that, cause a lot of that may have been done from 70.
Yeah.
from
And
70.
one thing I would like is, so what's nice is that if we GPS it, I know exactly where it's at, like knowing that a wire goes from this house to this house is one thing, but like there are instances, especially when we go and do locates and stuff. Sometimes it's difficult to get onto the right signal, so we kind of rely on where we think the wire is at, and we had a dig in not too long ago with one wire that just for whatever reason didn't locate very well. And we thought it was behind here and it wasn't, it actually came out the front of the transformer, so mapping this with a high quality device that can tell us exactly where everything is, there's a lot of value in that. I also want a map because that includes transformers, junction boxes, so I know things like before I go to a meeting with Multnomah Falls, I know what's in that vault as opposed to having to open it and look at everything. I can answer questions a lot faster that way, and then we can also plan ahead on emergencies or how we want to switch something around.
So I'm not saying not do mapping,
Yeah.
I'm just saying, does it help to have knowledge before you do it, or you don't need that knowledge
So
if you do the map?
yeah, so you know, again, there are instances where if I was going out to plan something like Multnomah Falls, right? So if I had questions out there and I wasn't able to get a confident answer from somebody else, then yes, that might be a good resource to do. For something like an emergency call out, again, if it's just you know, Connor and I that go out on it and it's an underground outage, like we're gonna have a problem. And we might be able, if you wanted to take a call at night or whatever and help us out if we have an issue with it, that might be something that that would be very valuable. Because, you know, honestly, if we had an issue downtown, the Derek would be our only resource to figure out where things go. It's very difficult to work on that. We had a vault fire here a couple of years ago, right out in front of Thunder Island. There was a vault fire out there and we spent quite a while even with them there, trying to figure out where everything went because it was kind of a guess and it's not labeled very well, or the tags are old and rotten and falling off. And the way we used to build stuff in these tiny little J boxes that are crowded and wires going everywhere, that's not how we do it anymore. So the underground system here, especially the older stuff in town, is really hard to work. So, but yeah, I would say, you know, if he wants to help out.
Well, just, you may approach him.
Yeah, okay. I'll keep that in mind.
But yeah, he's here since, I mean, that stuff was put in 70,
Yeah,
and he was around that.
okay, absolutely. Yeah, I'll keep that in mind. Thank you.
Do you have more questions, Tom? Okay, sure. Hey, did you have any questions?
No, I'm gonna go back and watch the,
Yeah.
sorry, I didn't get it to the beginning, but I watched on Zoom, so.
Yeah.
I got some stuff you can read over. So.
Yeah, so I think council would like copies of both of them, the wildfire one and the other, I mean, I would, that way we have it. How many poles do we have on stock right now?
For replacements?
Yeah.
About 20.
20. And when you say that we need to find a property to store our good equipment on, does it need to be on like on a concrete pad? Does it need
Yes,
to be on the
so it has
ground?
to be a non-porous surface, so the
Okay.
oil can't leak into the ground. There's a lot of things about it. It has to be bermed up to a certain height, depending on where we live and how much rainfall there is. Like if it's not covered, then we have to account for that it could fill up with water. And then we have to be able to either manually open it or have some kind of a system in place that will let the water go and contain the oil if there's a spill. The size of this platform and the size of the berms and the containment unit are all based on the largest transformer that could potentially be stored there and how much oil it has. So those are the biggest factors, but yeah, we just need a nice level piece of ground with a proper drainage system, a way to contain the oil if it did spill. And again, I think they said it's a type of concrete, but a non-porous surface.
How big of a piece of ground are you talking, like a half acre? Smaller?
No, like the
It's down
size
there
of
like,
this room,
okay,
probably would be fine.
and then,
Maybe slightly bigger, but.
okay, and then as far as our maintenance on our trucks, because if we go out and get new trucks, if we don't maintain them.
Uh-huh.
Do we do maintenance, do you see maintenance records on all of these trucks, or do we just fix them as they break?
So from what I know, we do the required testing on the trucks, and that's probably about it.
What is that, checking oil or what?
No, so we do all that, yeah, no, that's just day-to-day use.
Right,
No,
right.
I'm talking about, they have to be dielectrically tested everywhere,
Okay.
and the booms have to be inspected to make sure they're
Okay.
safe to use, so that's a yearly requirement. You're not talking about looking at like small little things though, but the things that are breaking, you're not gonna check, you're not gonna see them anyway. These trucks are very complicated. When you look at them, there's wiring harnesses with, 500 pairs of little wires running everywhere, and there's sensors everywhere, and there's safeties everywhere. And so These are things that are breaking, these are not major mechanical issues that we're going to be able to see, these are just little parts that just go bad over time because they just don't last that long.
And would it be better if they were stored like in a covered area versus out in the open?
Yes, if they were stored in a covered area that was climate controlled, ideally to keep the moisture content down, that's what's gonna get in your wiring harnesses and stuff is the biggest problem we're gonna have out here. That would extend the life of these trucks,
Okay,
for sure.
okay. And then, undergrounding by the tunnel, some of us went on a drive and I actually went on the truck going up that side.
Fine.
Yes, that's
They're fine.
dangerous at best,
Yes.
not counting the bridge. Anyway, so it is really bad. If anybody, I mean, it's terrible and looking down to where we don't even have access to the poles there by the railroad that's in between the freeway there.
Yeah.
Do you know about what, are you thinking that we shouldn't underground there? Or we should
No,
because of the concrete or?
I want it under, I think either going down the hill, there's already existing line that goes down the hill that feeds the lighting for the tunnel. So they've already done something to get down the hill right there.
Right.
If we could shoot under the tunnel and just follow the side of the road all the way up to the bridge. And then if they'd let us, we'd go across it, we'd attach to their bridge. If they wouldn't let us, then we could go overhead right there. And it's a little bit of work, we'd have to set another pole across the street there, tie into it, add another phase, but not an insane amount of work, and that's all stuff that we could do after the boring's done. We'll pull all the wire, we'll do all the terminations, we'll do all the wreck out, I just need someone to put the pipe in the ground, because that's just something we can't do.
So would it be safe to assume that undergrounding that and doing all that, which is very costly, but
Yes.
every time one of them trees falls
Yes.
and knocks us out, that's very costly
Yeah.
too.
Yes.
So would we, I mean, we don't know how many times it's gonna get hit by a tree, but I can tell there's at least 15 trees up there that are probably gonna fall,
Yeah.
whether they fall on the line or not.
Yeah.
Who knows? It would probably be cheaper to underground it, right?
Well, it's going to be very expensive down here.
Yes,
Hundreds
yes.
of thousands of dollars.
Yes.
So, yeah, but if a pole, especially now that we can't access it, and I
Yeah.
can't let a contractor or anybody else do it either, so
Yeah.
now all that's done by hand. So, we can't change a pole out by hand with 3 guys, we need more guys, and unfortunately, I can't use the public works to help us with that, so we would have to hire that out. So to have a contract crew come in there with 5 or 6 guys and work on it for 15 hours to replace a pole by hand is going to be very expensive.
Yes, yes.
So, yeah, we don't have a lot of options out there. It's easier to replace a pole if it's still standing. If a pole gets hit and is broken completely to the ground and we don't have the old pole to rig off of, now we're getting really creative. Now guys are climbing up the hillside and tying ropes to trees up here and tying ropes to trees down here and building fancy lines, and it's not easy.
Right.
Or we get an 8-man crew that can pike a pole, which is a way that we actually dig a slanted ditch and can stand a pole up by hand just a little bit at a time. But you need about 6 to 8 guys to do that.
And then one more question, back in January or February, don't quote me, but Derek was mentioning that Multnomah Falls was actually willing to pay to underground over there, is that not? Do you know anything about
He
that?
hasn't told me about it, which I'm shocked, because we've talked a lot about stuff.
Because he did mention that, so I don't know if Multnomah Falls was gonna pay or who was gonna pay, but he did
So-
talk to me about that that was gonna happen.
So Multnomah Falls is redoing some underground line, but to my knowledge, they've never offered to underground the line out in front of the falls. I am working with them right now because they're changing out their transformer, they're upgrading some stuff, and they're boring some conduit in right now, actually.
Maybe I'll clarify, because I'm sure Derek, he did tell me that, so I just need to clarify what.
Yeah, I'll
exactly-
talk
yeah.
about that tomorrow, and that's definitely on my list, so I've actually already applied for one grant, it was the Spark grant, it's a $1.9 billion grant given out by the federal government, it's not really for what we need here at the city, but I took a shot at it anyway. Unfortunately, there were several grants that expired shortly before I got here. So it is something that I will keep an eye on and apply for every grant that we can possibly get, because I think that we can justify the need for it here in town.
And then I am for the mapping tool, because if we can split it between different departments and then all be able to utilize it, I think it's a real good tool to have. And then the other thing is the way I feel about it, because our electric department is our biggest resource for our town. And we have a liability, and I don't know if anybody's heard the news recently where Pacific Power, somebody got sued over the wildfire that happened on Labor Day. We're looking at that, that could be us, and it would only take one of them to put us under. So I'm of the belief that we gotta do whatever we gotta do, if we have to pull it out of emergency funds or whatever. I mean, I understand budgets and all that because we need to budget. But we need to do right by our electrical system. We've saved a ton of money for years by neglecting the system. We need to spend whatever it takes, if we have to pull it out of the reserves and get this stuff up to date and up to par. And I'm talking trucks and everything. I mean, we have saved so much money by not doing it. It's time that we start spending some money on our best resource that we have here in this town, and that's kind of where I'm coming from. So I am in support of whatever. I'd like all the information. I knew her just from the little tour, and I'm not a lineman or nothing. I could tell that it's terrible. I know that we have poles that are sitting in water down by Mount Falls as well, that they were inspected and allowed to go down there. I mean, somebody put them in there, that they were okay to be there. You know, we have a lot of issues going on in our electrical department. And whether that's, we raise the rates for South Bank to accommodate some of this, because we don't make any money off the South Bank either.
Yeah.
You know, so maybe they need to pay a little bit more so we can maintain stuff. I don't know what it looks like, but I do know one thing, that we have to do right by our electrical department, and we need to do whatever it takes to get this stuff fixed.
Yeah.
And it can't wait for budgets after budgets after budgets. We have to be, because I witnessed the fire that just happened last week or two weeks ago, and you know, we have to do right. I seen Derek come in to shut the electric off at that fire, you know, and I just want us to be okay, because I showed you the wire over there that Alan gave to us, and that's just a tree hitting that wire enough, you know, and I don't want anybody's house or to be in a wildfire, you know. So, and that's my 2 cents on it. So I'm in support of whatever we gotta do to get these top 5 things that you labeled as being emergencies, getting them done. And that's kind of where I stand. Did you have a question?
Yeah,
Tiffany?
It wasn't, I don't think it was just the above ground wires that were underwater. I thought it was some of the under.
It's vaults, it's the vaults, out in the vault, it's the
Yeah.
vault,
Yeah.
I'm concerned about out
So
there.
that's, to me, that's terrifying. I mean,
Yeah.
That is not
Yeah.
completely terrifying that they're
No,
underwater.
it is, it's,
I just wanted to ask, and I'm very glad to hear that you're going after grants. That's
Yes.
fantastic. Thank you. And for the past several years, we've had an issue with transformer and poles being very difficult to acquire. Are we through that stage, or is this?
no, they're much better now. So the latest timeline I had for transfer was about 30 days. And then poles, I haven't sourced poles yet. My goal would be that we're gonna get poles tested, and then I'll figure out what poles I need to buy and replace. And so, I think what we have in stock is plenty, and I think it's more than enough, because since I've been doing most of the work on your property, about 5 years now, we've replaced 3 poles. So, I don't think we need a big pole yard, because they just sit there and age and rot out. So, what I would do is, once I get that list, I'll order all those poles that we know need to be replaced. I'll set all the poles that are in the yard so we get them off the ground and get those in the air, and then we'll restock what we have now, basically, would be the goal with that.
Thank you.
Bernard, did you have some? No? Anybody else got any questions, comments?
That would fall up on the market. Yeah, Pacific Power is selling off assets right now to pay for that lawsuit. And that is one thing that I have brought up the city a lot, is that the lawsuits, the financial loss if you do start a fire. And these lines will start fires. There's been several fires since I've been here. We can't stop it. When you have overhead lines and trees, they won't let us trim it like Bonneville does. We can't take every tree that could possibly hit it. So we will start a fire. And the best thing that we can do is, you know, minimize every possibility that it might happen to the best of our abilities. And then, you know, the rest of it is just, we hope that we've done enough, so.
And I didn't realize that you had the ability to apply for grants, so I want to say thank you too for that.
I didn't know I did either, I just did.
Thank you.
Yeah, they pointed me in the right direction and I just ran with it.
And we're
so.
moving in the right direction, so our audits will get up to date and we'll be able to like apply for more, and hopefully we can resolve all these issues, because that way it's easier to get grants if everything's
Yeah,
looking good.
there's several parts to a grant. I guess the first one is just like a preliminary, which was difficult, but I worked my way through that one. The next step, if we get through this first step, I think that's gonna be a lot more involved, and, but I'm sure the city will be more happy about that, so.
Thank you for coming tonight and
Absolutely.
for the update and all that. Kathy, did you have any questions, or Gordon? And I asked you because you are part of the interim currently, so you don't have anything? Okay.
No, Alan's been very communicative, so we're.
He's, as you can tell, we've
Yeah.
got somebody in place that's got vision,
Yes,
got drive, ambition. He just doesn't have the resources.
yeah,
And
we need to get
as
them.
much as you think we've saved, it's not enough.
Yeah.
I understand, but yeah.
But we'll
Yeah.
talk about the budget here in a little bit.
yeah,
Okay,
so I appreciate you.
yeah, you guys can get a copy of this, I'm sure you guys have this on the computer.
Probably.
I emailed this to you, I believe, or did I think I just gave you a hard copy of it. Okay,
Yeah,
so I can I'll make some more copies of this and hand it out.
We got it.
Oh, you
Yeah.
got it, okay,
Yeah,
well, you only have, I have a copy and Patty has a copy, but you guys all have one.
No, that.
Well.
yeah, we'll make more copies.
Oh, you're just copy that, give it to them. Yeah, that's,
Yes,
I'll
yeah.
get a copy then.
Okay, perfect, that makes that easy. This is the estimate from, hold on. Swan.
Oh, you guys want it? You keep that.
Okay, that, okay,
Yeah, try and find another company for a bid.
okay,
for it.
can do.
Hey, thank you so much for coming tonight.
Thank you, everyone, for listening.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
thank you. Have a great night.
Absolutely, you too.
All right, moving on to ordinance number 470, the prepared food and beverage tax revisions.
So, Tiffany came in and had some questions and we worked through it and and we found some more. Bernard found a couple more that we need to do. But the big thing was clarification on definition of restaurants, parts, or, push carts, to just carts, it's a little clarifying thing. The big thing was the section 23. It's section 23 was gave the city administrator, the tax administrator, who is the city administrator, the power to go into a business and ask for the records to audit. And I've thought about that, and I don't want to put any city administrator in a position where he has to go in and demand. You give me access to your books. But it is okay for an independent auditor to go in and say, let me take a look at your books. Again, assigned by the tax administrator, the city administrator, this is the business that you need to go audit. So I took that out of 23 and I put the audit report and the audit, city auditor expanded that in section 20. And we put some limits on it. If I don't know how many businesses are gonna qualify. 8, 10, 12, I don't know. But do one a year, do one audit a year. And make sure that business after that year, the next year is not audited. To give them, not that they're already covered or anything like that, but so we don't hit it 2 years in a row. And then the choice has to be by random, so that and I don't know whether you roll the dice, pick a card, whatever. The choice to who gets audited this next year is a random selection. But if there is evidence that there's fraud or non-payment or something like that, the city can, under a different section, direct the city auditor to go and do that audit. If that is the case, then instead of the city paying for the full audit, the business would pay for half and the city would pay for half. If fraud is discovered, the business pays for all of the audit. So we tried that. I tried to protect the administration. I tried to make it fair for the businesses, that they don't get hit every year or two years in a row for being audited. So those are the major changes. Bernard came up with one about bakeries. There was a section 2.3, items 4, 5, and 6 should be A, B, and C under number 3. But I can take care with that. But I just wanted to clarify that language before I bring it back to you in a resolution. Because that was a significant change. Any questions on those changes or?
Tiffany?
So I think, on the one change that you made in section 20. I think that you say here in your report that, the cost of the audit and any penalties, and I don't see that and any penalties.
The penalty is in a different section.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah, Ruben pointed that out.
Okay, and then, I do have a question on this, section 3, number 10. Just because. I have I don't know, a weird mind that thinks very differently. It says that food consisting of candy, popcorn, factory, prepackaged nuts, chips, gum, or other confections. So sometimes people put candy and stuff on their ice cream and yogurt, so is that correct? How?
But that's, you're altering the food.
Okay,
You've opened the package to open it up to put it on the ice cream.
okay, so these are prepackaged,
Prepackaged.
okay, so maybe I should say prepackaged candy and not just candy, because I feel like that's kind of a little wiggle room. I mean,
I feel like, the following items, including toppings or additions, scooped or otherwise, placed into a cone bowl or other container. Section 2, tax imposed 2D.
section 2. Okay. All right, it just, yeah, and then, but later on in that number 10, however, ice cream, frozen yogurt, cakes, pies, or other desserts are taxed according to the provisions in this ordinance. So, should that like read single serving? Because in other places it says that the pies and cakes, whole pies and cakes, and a half gallon of ice cream are exempt. Sort of things.
Ready for immediate consumption, I think is the overarching
Yeah.
idea.
Okay, but that's not how this reads though.
It is if you read section 2 first. In my head, you know, if we're going logically.
I just think it would just make more sense if it just said single serving, but I mean. I think that would just clear up everything.
Single serving on 310.
Yeah,
Single serving food consisting of candy, popcorn.
no, after
That's
that.
the.
After the hour.
Okay.
Single servings of.
But it's talking about prepackaged ice cream.
Yeah.
Is that, okay,
Yeah,
Yes.
Yeah.
10 is talking about prepackaged stuff.
Yeah.
The other food stuff serving is before that.
okay, so maybe just put prepackaged then at the beginning of that. Prepackaged food consisting of, maybe,
That's.
yeah,
Yeah.
all that, just maybe move the word prepackaged
To the beginning.
Yeah, and then that will just take care of all of that.
All right.
And then the only other thing that I saw was, hopefully when when the ordinance gets done, you know, we won't have like a section 12 on the bottom of the page and it starts on the next. I know, it's just like that. I get that, but I just, yeah,
That's everything.
I know, and then the only other thing, like on section 22, disposition of use of tax funds. Any reserve, the last sentence there, any reserve fund shall be accounted for in a prepared food sales tax reserve fund. Should,
If we collect things and we wanna just leave it as food tax, we make a capital reserve for food tax, so we know where it came from.
let's see,
That's just an accounting.
okay, but yeah, cause I was just wondering if fire department should be in there something. Okay, no, that's all I had, thank you, fine.
Anybody else have any questions, comments, Bernard?
Yeah, so. In section 2, number 10. Go back to this.
To number 10, okay?
Section 2.
And the tax rate shall be set by resolution of the.
Yeah, so. Am I missing something or? The ordinance sets the tax rate at 5%.
I think that's. It is in the ordinance, that's correct.
So we're not going to pass this ordinance.
So the resolution then just passes sends the ordinance to the voters, and then when the voters pass it, that's what sets the tax, and I think that's a very good point. Now that I understand your question.
That was my question.
Okay.
Yeah, because we had this raging debate with, the 2008 measure. Resolutions are generally considered administrative in nature, and ordinances are the ones that are, subject to the measure. And when we say, well, the tax rate set by resolution, it sounds like the language giving us wiggle room where we could change it to 6 or 7% and not have to go to the voter people. And I don't think that's the intent.
I think that's when we plagiarized other ordinances.
I understand, but I think that might be to get
Somebody else's.
Okay, that's my first thing, and then the next one was, so on section 20. I feel like you should call out as a third party auditor. Cause isn't that our intention that we're not using our auditor who does, we're using a third party who's just specialized in these types of audits. But it's not really clear to me that we say the city auditor, it's not like we're using our auditor. That's not.
Right.
Yeah, no, that's true.
So if we can,
I think it should
Third-party
be third-party auditor designated or, identified by the tax administrator.
At the direction of the tax.
Exactly, that's how they
Got it.
operate, okay.
Perfect.
And then the last one. Oh, on the Q and A, I just had a few comments to make on that.
That's fine. That's my best guess. You can send me, email me.
Well, but for the public consumption, for those who are watching, for us who are gonna have to, well, I hope we're all going to. Promote this measure once it gets on the ballot, but. What I wanted to say was, let's see.
you got it. You want a minute to pull it up?
Yeah, someone else. Go ahead.
Okay, so I'm sorry, we're gonna go back to section 3, number 10.
Read 10.
If we say prepackaged at the beginning of that, and then it goes to say, however, ice cream, frozen yogurt, cakes. So somehow. Or other desserts are taxed according to the provisions in this ordinance, so there's a little bit of a.
Which is on through.
Well, I get that, but if we say prepackaged at the beginning of that. Number 10, prepackaged food consisting of candy, popcorn, factory, nuts, chips, gums, and other confections. However, ice cream, frozen yogurt, cakes, pies, or other desserts are taxed according to the provisions in this ordinance. There's just, I know the section 2, but
That section is titled exemptions. You can't have an exemption without a rule. So it's more like section 3 is a subset of section 2 as opposed to its own individual section.
but this says, however, are taxed. This is, however, ice cream, frozen yogurt, cakes, pies, or other desserts are taxed.
That's the provisions.
It's just confusing. It's not very clear.
I mean, in theory, you could take out that whole second half after the semicolon.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Just take all that out, strike it.
However,
Yeah,
because it's referenced in somewhere else.
yeah,
Thank you, because I just.
Okay, Mayor, I got one.
okay,
Thank you, I'm sorry, we won't go back.
you good?
I think so.
All right, Bernard.
Yeah, so. Again, for the public's consumption, I think, which is a critical piece on why. I think we're pursuing this revenue is the question 3, why are we only charging food and beverage facilities? And the answer, this addresses food and beverages would have been altered for preparation service in the business establishment. It is not a general sales tax. I'm like, okay, that's all true, but the reason we're doing that is we were trying to tax tourists. We want tourists coming here to spend money on food and beverages. They're not buying a Jeep or but they are coming to town and using those resources from our town. That's why we're doing a prepared and not a general sales, because we're not trying to tax locals, anybody else.
Right.
So I just want everyone to understand that this is an effort for us to tap a resource that's not being tapped to help us fund our fire and EMS, which by the way, generates a lot of demand on the fire and EMS. So to me, that's like, answered, and highlighted and blinking yellow. Why we're only targeting food and beverage, because we're trying to capture revenue from our tourism economy.
Right.
All right, thanks.
I'm glad you said that, because those answers should reflect how we would answer that question.
Exactly.
And that's how, what I would say, when I ask that question myself. Operator registration form, so as I understand it, when, we've got a lot of food vendors coming in for weddings and events, especially during the summertime. And, I mean, I can't even imagine how many different vendors are here over the course of the summer. And just the likelihood of one of those people being able to slip through the cracks and not collect the tax and not pay the tax, could be problematic. And I'm wondering just, as I understand it, they're gonna have to file their return quarterly by the 15th, right? For the preceding 90 days, preceding quarter. Is there gonna be somebody that's, reviewing, here's the list of people that actually applied for, what do you call it here? It's a operator, submitted an operator registration form. And here's the people that filled out a tax return. Is there somebody that's gonna be kind of cross-referencing those two lists to make sure that they match?
We definitely track the people that register. How we're gonna do the vendors at the parks.
Maybe we can talk about that when we have our next meeting with the port, like if we can come up with some type of system to where they can help us.
The port is willing to let the vendors know you have to register. And it can be in their system too, because here's the form, fill it out.
Right.
And then they can send it up to us, but that's a coordination piece with the port.
And I can foresee a company that might come in for a wedding and they do the paperwork and register because the port makes it easy for them. And then they totally forget about filling out the return, and so they've collected the tax, but then they forget to pay it to the city. And we definitely don't want that. And then we get into section 20, and I think that it's great that you told that we got a third party auditor doing the audits. That makes total sense. And in any given year, the auditor may determine the appropriate number of businesses that will be subject to a random audit. I would hope that that would include some of those temporary vendors. I really think that, the cost to perform the audit may not even may not even be covered by the tax we're collecting. But I think that if vendors feel like they can fly under the radar, they're just not gonna collect the tax or they're not gonna pay it.
Yeah.
And hopefully we should find them.
Yes.
Yeah.
And if they find somebody that's not paying the tax, then they're paying for the audit too,
Right.
Anybody else have any questions? So I don't really have any questions or comments on this, but I will just tell you guys, as mayor of Cascade Locks, I am not for the 5%. We started out at 10%. And I settled and went along with us going down to 7%. And my reason being is what just happened 2 weeks ago in our town. Okay, we had a house burn and it was a ranch style house. Had the Hood River Fire Department not showed up with the ladder truck, we probably would have had more houses. We do not have a ladder truck, but we continue to build 2-3 level homes or businesses in this town. And this home was a ranch style home. It was not multi-level. Going with 5% is just gonna keep our fire and EMS status quo. We're not making it any better. We're not updating anything. We don't even give our volunteers raincoats to go out on these accidents and stuff. We need to do better by our fire and EMS. And it's a real serious issue, because how I hear some of the businesses talk and some residents too, is they talk about it like it's coming out of their pocket. And that's why we're trying to prevent it coming out of our pocket. We want it to come from the people that are coming to our town. Whenever I've gone on vacation, I've never once looked at, okay, I'm going to Astoria on vacation. I want to look at what their taxes are here before I decide if I'm gonna go. I do not see this affecting our tourist season at all. People come here because they love it here, because we are the most beautiful place in the gorge. You could do it all here. We have the water here and all that. We really need to bring our fire and EMS up to date. Because the idea of this, us just keeping it status quo, we haven't updated our emergency plan and it's overdue. Our equipment is the same thing. If you look on the last page, I mean, we've got equipment that's many years old. 20 years old and all this. We only fix it when it breaks, And I think I would like us to be able to get our equipment up to date and do better by our fire department. And the fact of the matter is if this doesn't pass, then we don't have EMS. I mean, and this tourists find out, hey, if we come out here and we get hurt, or we call 911 and nobody comes for 30 to 45 minutes, we will lose tourists then. So I'm really hoping that this council will really think about the percentage. And take, that really opened up my eyes. I don't know if anybody knows how many fire trucks it took to get that fire under control. It took a lot. We had,
West Side.
Hood River, Skamania, yeah, and Stevenson and us out here, and it took all of it, and that was a ranch. So if one of these 3-story, businesses or these houses that we're building up on the hill, yeah, they were to do it, I mean, we could not fight it, and we're waiting 30 to 45 minutes for help. So, and I really feel like 5% is just putting a Band-Aid on it. It's just gonna keep us doing what we've been doing. It's not gonna get us new equipment or anything. So that's my 2 cents on it. I will stand firm on my 7%. I will, if you guys want 5%, I will vote no, only because I want the citizens of this town to know that I want us to have fire and EMS, and I don't want us paying for it. And that's kind of where I stand. Bernard, you first.
So, look, I don't disagree that there is validity to your revenue solution. What I worry about is you get to a point that you have our businesses actively fighting. And if they actively fight it, they will then be running a counter campaign while we're out there door knocking saying, support the measure, support the measure. They're gonna have their own folks saying, they're trying to tax you to death, and using all the memes and the misinformation that you see, unsettling public policy all across this country. And I would rather not have that fight. I don't know what that tipping point is. I know the restaurant and business, lobby, they generally oppose these. Will they let us fly on their radar because we're such a small community? It doesn't really affect that many. I don't know the answer to that. But if we get too much, then our restaurant's gonna go to them and say, we need to kill this measure, right? So that's the balancing act. I don't know the answer. I do know this. I talked to one business owner. I said, hey, did you hear that we're thinking of going from 7 to 5? I know you had concerns at 7. Are you not having concerns at 5? No, I still want to oppose it. I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
So you see how this is it's not clear whether 5 will get us over the hurdle and what kind of resistance we're going to get at 5. But I do worry at 7, you're gonna get more resistance, and then we get nothing. That's the risk. If you go for 7 and they vote it down, then we're really screwed. So you can see how this is challenging. I just want to make that.
And I get your argument, but I also get that we need to be very, very transparent and very honest.
Yeah.
Because I can tell you, if we don't have EMS and people come to our town and get hurt and you can't get help, that's gonna kill us too. So we need to be very honest about it, but I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying, Tiffany.
And I agree with what he said, and I agree with what you say, but I have a few things. We really don't know how much money we're gonna get. We're doing the best guess estimate on phone pings that come to our town. So we maybe get more money than you think we're gonna get, for one thing. For another thing, I think we do the 5%. And then in a couple of years, decide if we wanna raise it after the citizens see that it's not that much of an impact to their bottom dollar and that it is making money for our electric department. We put it out to raise it 2% or
Fire.
Our
whatever.
fire department.
Sorry,
Electric's on your mind.
sorry, I know, electric's on my mind, sorry, I just is all day long. So, and then we put it out put it out and see if they're willing to raise it another 2%. I think we have to show them first. I think it's not gonna be the ideal thing that you're hoping for and that we're hoping for, that it'll be some super great amount of relief, but I think we have to show the citizens. And I think we have to really establish really how much we're gonna make off of this before we go for the full, before we go for the full 7%. Cause it's just, we're picking numbers in the dark and I don't, we don't know. So,
Right.
that's,
So I was standing with the mayor watching this house burn and I, you know. The thoughts were going through my mind were, I thank God it's not windy.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah.
God this isn't August. You know, this, we are in such a sensitive area and, I totally agree with where the mayor's coming from. And I appreciate your passion. But at the same time, we've heard from business owners that say, if you knew how much we actually make, you'd realize 7% is too much. Here's what you're saying you need to raise. You can do that with 5%. That's what we've heard from some of the business owners, and obviously we don't have access to their books. We're not asking for that, But I think that, I agree with what you're saying, Tiffany. I think let's, get started with the 5% and then give us a baseline. Let's show people that we're trying to be responsible and take just what we need. We're not trying to be greedy, but we've got real need. We've got a lot of things to address. And when we kind of worked that backwards last time, we realized that, we're trying to figure out how do we make it so that the tourists are paying this, paying for this and the residents aren't. And we found out that we can't run it seasonally. We can't say that there's an exemption for locals, but what we could do is if it's bringing enough revenue, we can get rid of the EMS fee. We talked about that last council meeting. And that's a way that, this is a $9 a month that's coming out, coming off your bill. And it's gonna be replaced by the additional revenue we're collecting through this prepared food and beverage tax, paid for by the tourists that are actually really costly to provide the service to. So I really think that it's gonna be, I guess my question as you were saying what you were saying was, what's your feeling as far as support the community? Do you feel that we'd be able to get this passed at 7%? Do you feel like that?
I think,
And you've been here a long time.
I think that if we're honest and transparent and they know that they're on the verge of losing their EMS service, that is what we're looking at. And at 5%, what I've heard us talk about is that we're gonna save 5% that we're now giving out of the general fund to fire and EMS. So they're not gaining anything with 5% if we're doing it the way we say we're gonna do it. That's my concern, because let me tell you, if you come back to me for more money, I'm gonna probably say, manage your money better. Just like we should have went up more than $9. I think people were willing to pay more than $9. I don't know, but I think it's about being transparent and honest and all that, and really supporting our businesses, going and educating them and stuff. Our town halls that we had were not good town halls. We didn't have good information. We had all kinds of threatening information in there, but we had nothing to back it up. We didn't have answers. So I think we're more solid in our answers and stuff, and we can always go down. But we have to take it back for a vote to go up if we find out we don't have enough money. But we need a ladder truck and things like that, like ASAP. Because if people knew the truth, like your house is probably gonna burn down. Because we don't have the equipment to stop it. Especially if you've got more than one level. So that's where my concern is that as a citizen, I would hate to see what happened, because if it would have been windy and all that, this would be a different top story we would have. Because the wind was barely blowing that night, thank goodness. But that's my concern. I just want us to all be safe and do what's right by our community. It's not about having too much money, because I think there's not a bucket that could be too much at first, right? We have a lot to bring up to par, so go ahead, Sherelle.
Could there be value in a council listening session, not a formal town hall or anything, maybe 2 or 3 counselors getting together with business owners and having these discussions one-on-one with them?
I think that would be very valuable. I really do. I think we just need to be honest and transparent and let them know that we're here to support them and all that. I mean, Cannon Beach, this did not affect their tourism. So that's just kind of, I want food for thought so you guys can really, because it's just happened here recently and you've seen the impact. And we had a hard time and thank goodness there was no wind that night. Go ahead, Tiffany.
So and I like that idea that we can get rid of the $9 per month thing, and that could be a selling point for adding 2% on it the next time. And then, after we can show the citizens what it is, how much we're gonna get, how much we're gonna make, and then we can say, hey, we wanna raise it 2%, but we wanna take away this part of it. If we get the other 2%, I don't know if that's right, I don't know if we can do that technically, okay, but yeah, but you know, so that could be a great selling point for adding 2% on later. I don't think it's gonna be, for right now, it's just gonna give a little relief. It's not gonna be a fix-all. We know that it's not gonna be a fix-all. But I personally feel like, I think we can get 5%, 7% is just gonna be a really, really hard sell.
Okay, let me get it. And then I'll be here.
I mean, in response to we can come back and lower it, yes, but we have to get it passed first. And to be able to come back and lower it, we have to get it to pass initially.
Yeah.
And I think that's, you know, we're looking at what we think people are going to approve, and as much as so many of our residents appreciate our fire and EMS, I feel like it's also one of those services that you really only become passionate about it if you've experienced it.
Yeah.
You know, or you've sat there and watched them do their work and put out a house fire. You can feel the importance, and if you haven't ever had to be in a situation where it was necessary, it becomes a harder sell for some people.
So if we do the 5% and that don't pass, and then we gotta go tell the people that you're not gonna have EMS.
Then at least we came to the
We
table
need
with
to,
compromise.
so we need to be transparent and honest about this, you know? Pete first and then you, Bernard, go ahead, Pete.
I agree that I think we need more than 5% is gonna generate, but we won't know until we collect it, and really it's the optics, you know, we gotta get it passed. And, I think that's what you're bringing up, Bernard, when you compare this, our city and what we're proposing to the other cities that actually have something similar. If we're at 7% or 10% and they're at 5%, I think we're gonna have a real hard time getting, I think it'd be really easy for somebody to take an opposing viewpoint to manipulate and skew that and spin it in a way that could gain traction and would make it difficult for us to get it passed.
Bernard.
Yeah, so just to remind folks, the River County tried to do this and it failed.
Yeah.
Okay, and their general fund is worse than ours. We're at 217 or 250, 1,000, they're like a $142. They're really sucking wind to try to fund police and do those basic general fund services. And the voters said, go screw you, you know, and that made no mistake. That was partially because of a mass information campaign by the food and beverage industry. That's what we gotta worry about.
Yeah.
So just.
And they came to one of our town halls too. They were here.
Yeah, so, all right. The second thing, I just wanna make sure that when the public, kind of hears this conversation, here's the reality. If this doesn't pass, our our fire doesn't just doesn't, collapse. What happens is it slowly degrades, okay? The cost of things keeps going up, the revenue to support it is not there, and we just slowly degrade to we are a very dysfunctional fire and EMS department. And then tourists as well as locals start to feel that pinch, but it doesn't happen overnight. Everyone needs to keep that in mind. And that's the nature of a lot of government services, And so the question that we have as a council is, how do we convince the public that that's not a good way to run a city? And you should support initiatives like this, so we keep a healthy and properly trained and staffed and resourced fire department to meet your needs, both as a citizen, but also protecting these businesses and everything that these programs do. So just, that's the nature of this work, you know?
And I totally understand everybody. I hear all of you guys. I really do. And whatever the citizens want, that's what will be voted for, and they'll either vote for it or not. But it has been a reality where we didn't have EMS
I remember.
services about 17 years ago in this town. And when you called 911 and you were hurt, you had to wait for Skumani or Hood River to come to you. And when you got someone hurt or can't breathe or whatever, that's not a good wait. So it's not that it can't happen, it has happened before in Cascade Locks where we didn't have that service, so I just wanna throw that out there, but. I just kinda said my piece so you guys know and the citizens know where I stand on it, and I will. Support whatever we decide to go for, but I think being transparent and honest and maybe getting some council members that wanna go around, I'll go around. I don't mind talking to businesses and being very transparent and honest, because I really get the feeling like they think that we're trying to take their money. And that's not the case. We're not trying to take their money. Tom?
And so I would just say, I wouldn't come up with saying, we may bring money, we may be able to get money back, whatever, that's not gonna happen. That is never, it's gonna do nothing but go on up. You are gonna need more down the road, cause that's the nature of the business. But where you were talking where we didn't have anything going on here, it got to the point where you can say Stevenson or whoever was gonna come in, cause we didn't have it. It got to the point where they said, because you don't have it, we're not coming.
Exactly.
But right now, we do have a good department, we got a need, and all of those outfits, they are prepared to help us and they're prepared to come as quick as they can. So they're prepared to back us up right now, cause we're able to give them help.
Mutual.
Yes.
Yeah, we're able to give them mutual aid, but if you can't give them mutual aid, they're not giving you mutual aid, they're not
There's
coming.
no mutual aid if you don't have anything else.
So as long.
No longer mutual.
Long as they keep it going, they get here as quick as they can, and on the ladder truck end of it, you know, there is no doubt that we need a ladder truck, there's absolutely no doubt, because we have built houses a lot higher and everything, and the lower trucks can't do it. But I talked to a firefighter across the river, and I told him, you could, Gord could look into it a little bit, about it was either White Salmon or Stevenson or whatever, they'd got, either gotten a ladder truck or they attempted to get a ladder truck. And they found out that the training of it was way too tough, way too hard for them. And the insurance went up so much because of that truck that they had to get, I think they may have gotten rid of it or declined doing it. So even though we may look like, let's go get a ladder truck, we may not be able to come close to affording something like that. But
The training for employees on how to use it correctly.
yes, it's tough, and they gave up on it. And I think maybe they've had one or thought about it. But if you have a good department, and we do, and I think that we need to get some more money in there to keep it stable. As Bernard said, you don't want it degrading. You need to at least get enough in there to keep it stable. We've got great help coming. I mean, if you can get in there and at least keep something knocked down enough quick enough, and I get there quick, in there first. There's things you can do, but there are things that, no matter how much money you have, you're not.
Right.
You get to the point where you have all this stuff, but now that's, nobody can live, because you got all this stuff even though you need it, you know, I want a doctor in town, I don't have a doctor in town, and people are gonna pass away here because they don't have a doctor in town. We got good MTs, and that's what we do, but because we can't afford to have a doctor in town. So there's things that we are not going to be able to afford that other communities have, they're just not gonna be able to afford it. But I do believe that we can have an adequate power company, an adequate EMS and power, And I think that this is the process, we're doing the thing to say, let's just try to keep it, you know,
Yeah.
let's keep it moving.
Yeah,
Let's keep it moving, and as you get people in, you know, people in town or businesses in town that can. Or that you can do things where you can, like I say, this came in, so now we can add this to it. And that brings in more money to be able to do this with.
Right.
You make some gains with it. We are not gonna be able to create a fire department or that's gonna be able to compete with a Hood River Fire Department. That's, or a West Side Fire Department. It's
no,
it's not gonna happen,
no,
but we can have one, and I think we've got one that can hang in there, so we gotta do the best we can to keep them function.
Yeah.
And I think this is gonna help them continue that. And I think that Gordon has said that he doesn't need all of the money that it's gonna take, so it's not gonna be a dollar for dollar loss on, there should be some monies that are left over from that, be able to move some things ahead, be able to acquire some things, or put some money away for something. And on the other side of it, you're constantly looking for the grants and the help, but just know we've got great help, because we have built a good fire department
Yes.
since that time.
yes,
So we do have a good one, and the help will come.
yes,
But we cannot, there's things that we cannot, but there's no way we can afford. But we can certainly, I think this certainly will help them out, so.
right, right, as long as we still supplement it from the general fund, we can't take that 5%. We can't quit supporting them while we are and just thinking that the 5%, we can't swap money. You know, where we quit supporting them out of the general fund, they're looking to get more than what they're getting to improve their department, correct?
That's correct, but the analysis they did with just the swapping was to show the impact on the community. That it's going from $76, that they're 76% that they're paying for down to 53%. It was just an effort to quantify what the impact for that $250,000 is.
However, previous city administrator was talking about it would help the general fund out because it would save that money for the general fund. So that's where that's coming from.
Okay, well. Welcome to the budget.
So we'll see, Bernard, and then we
Yeah,
can move
so last
forward.
thing, so I almost wish Chief was here, but it's my take that there was no wind, right, at this last event. But if there was wind, I'm gonna offer that they're gonna send more resources to contain it. Cause they know there's wind and the chance of it spreading is dramatically higher. And the resource response will reflect that. So please don't feel like, oh my God, this fire, and then if the wind, we would have been screwed, not necessarily.
No, it's the time that it takes, they can't get here any faster than they do, it's. the
I
time.
understand.
It's
that.
all about
Yeah,
time.
Yes.
Yeah.
But please just,
I know.
Yeah,
But we had firemen that were putting a ladder up against a burning house, trying to get on top of the roof to put a hole in it so they could put water in it. So that is the reality, so we got the reality. But anyway, we can move on if everybody's done, I just wanted to throw like how I feel about it.
Well, that's what firemen do. I cannot do that. What they do, what we see them do is beyond what we're thinking we can do. What they,
Right.
that they do things that they know that
And they train.
they can do it, and they train
Yes.
for it.
Yeah.
So it may seem like, and it is dangerous,
Yeah,
but
but that's what they
But
do,
there's only a certain level of danger they'll put themselves in when they do something.
right? I got to compete.
Just last thing I wanna say on this topic. Having a longtime resident like our mayor advocating so passionately for this, I think gives us we got a lot of people around this table that have been in this community a long time. And I think that having you guys helping to, advocate for why we're doing this really gives us a huge advantage, to fight the
special
the
interest.
special interests that are not from this town, that
Right,
are gonna be saying it's bad for their business.
right.
But really, that's what it's gonna come down to, is the people that are from this town, realizing that this is good for our town, and the people that are not from this town are gonna be saying, we don't want it because it's gonna be bad for our business, or bad for our industry.
Right.
So anyways, I'm glad that you're here around Mayor, and that you're passionate about this, and I think we gotta go a long way to get this across the finish line.
I hope so. Okay, we're ready to move on, right?
Yep.
We got committee reports, we don't have any.
Don't want some? No.
City administrator report.
Thank you. It's at your desk, but the Inman Trail Town designation, April 1st, of the International Mountain Bike Association designated Cascade Lodge, one of 28 towns across the United States, the trail town. This is a big deal. This will help our tourism. This will bring more people into the town to buy food at the restaurants and pay the sales tax. Okay. Number 2, wastewater plant pumps update. The first pump is in the process of being rebuilt. The old parts are on site for the other second pump, and we have not yet determined what to do about the replacement of the third and fourth pumps at this time. It may not even be necessary. Engineering is still reviewing that. The mayor mentioned earlier, I attended the Federal Partners Workshop in Pasco, Washington, a couple of weeks ago. Mentioned to people, what are you there for? I need $5 million to refurbish City Hall. Oh, I can get you that. And so we have people that are interested in helping us submit applications for congressionally designated spending, which is the longest of long shots. But this is rural development that does have facilities improvement programs. So there's possibility that we can find other kinds of funds, but I don't know how much. I mean, I can pick $5 million out of a hat, but it doesn't mean that's what it's gonna take.
Yeah.
So I went back to the company, McKinstry, that did the building evaluation in 2025. And I said, and that was for bringing the post office in and bringing the port up and doing all the rest of that stuff. I said, just tell me how much it will cost to bring the building up to code. And maybe do floor coverings, maybe a paint job, but let's replace the windows, let's do HVAC, let's redo the parking lots, just to get the building so it's functional. I met with them this morning, and they're gonna come back with a proposal to tell us how much that would be, so that we know when we go out for grants to look for this, we know how much we're going for. And there's lots of ways to pay. There's a bond measure, there's grants, there's raising rates, there's all kinds of multiple, but I don't know which avenue to approach because I don't know how much. So that's what the purpose of that is. But it was nice to have the assistant director of the Washington State USDA Rural Development say, oh yeah, I can get you that money at heartbeat. I have since talked to our congressional delegation, and it's not that hard, easy. One of the things that's gonna stop it is we have to have our audits up to date. All right. The next one, the ADA substation project. We had a request for bid for the refurbished 12, 16, and 20 megawatt transformer. We had budgeted $600,000 for that. The bid came in at $610,000. The problem was it's just for the purchase. The transformer did not include shipping from South Dakota where the transformer is, did not include installation, did not include removal of the current transformer, did not include anything. It was just, here's the transformer. So we are meeting tomorrow morning with our engineers to say, where do we go from here? Do we reject the bid? Or do we take the bid, get the $600,000, find out how much it's gonna cost to ship it? What's our total budget process? Let's review the whole budget again and take a look at it. We've submitted a request to the EDA for an extension. It's been denied before, but we're closer now than we have been when it was denied before. The port is going to Washington DC next week for their annual conference. They're gonna be talking to our congressional delegations about an extension. Not because our congressional delegation, as any congressional delegation, does not want to give the money back. So we're working every angle we can. We're we're gonna do the best we can to get it started and get as much money out of the feds as we possibly can. That's, I just wanted to give you an update. It's discouraging, but that's the way it is. The mayor and I will be attending number 5 of the LOC conference next week in Pendleton. 6th Ruggles Creek slide, the FEMA declaration that Governor Kotek sent to the FEMA for the December 15th to 19th storm, what was that, what we call it?
The river atomic.
The atomic.
Atmosphere, yeah.
Well, it was, bomb cycle, whatever.
Right.
The FEMA declaration was signed this weekend. That may give us a funding source to remove the slide. We don't know yet, but it's because this happened during that event, it could be covered by FEMA. Now, the problem will be which organization is gonna apply for the money to do it. And we are a likely organization, because it impacts us the most. And we would be able to accept FEMA funding. We don't know yet. Yes, sir.
Any question?
Yeah, so I was around for this weekend, the 3 races that took place, and I heard that the Bridge of the Gods 10K half marathon were canceled because of the slide.
Yeah, that's correct.
So it's disappointing. It's another big,
Yep.
brings a lot of tourist folks, heads in beds. Given this development, is it possible maybe we get the port to take the lead in trying to get an allegation and get this thing done?
There are about 8 of us, agency heads, directors that are working together to get this done. One of the other approaches we're taking, and the port is leading this one, because this was a Nike sponsored event, and has been, they've been a sponsor for both races. Let's go after Nike and see if they'll pay for it. So we're exploring every
Yeah,
avenue.
well, the reason I say port, I know you're busy. I mean, you're only here for 6 months and we got a ton on your plate. I'd rather the port kind of take the lead. Part of their job's economic development. This is a critical economic development for our summer season. They should be able to go do that work. I don't
They're not
know what's on
thinking-
their plate, but
Yeah, they weren't thinking, any of the people that were sitting in the regional solution meeting, that this could be completed by August when this run takes place. So that's why it was canceled, because it's not a little slide, and then they have to reassure it so it doesn't happen again. So there's a lot of
I get it.
logistics, but they're trying.
I was just like a temporary fix and then a big fix.
Yeah.
Temporary fix for the summer and then we do the proper fix.
Well, we're actually looking beyond that. If we do a temporary fix, and we do a big fix, then let's get an intergovernmental agreement among all of the landowners upon which the historic trail goes, to have a maintenance agreement to maintain the trail.
Sure.
And so, and that's the other message that we're sending back to Washington.
Thank you.
So thank you, though, I appreciate it. Finally, budget calendar. Besides the work on the audits, this bump has been diligently creating a foundation for an accurate budget process. We don't know if there's money there to spend. Basically, she's going through every financial transaction for the past 3 years to make sure the revenues are credited to the correct fund and the expenditures are debited to the correct line item. We're very close to having a current financial statement available. And once we have that available, then we will have as much confidence as we can, a foundation to build the budget on and present to the budget committee. So we've given ourselves a deadline. Budget training will be May 6th. Budget meetings will be May 13th, 20th, and 27th, if possible, or if needed. And then the adoption of the budget could be June 8th or 22nd.
Do you know what time these are gonna happen?
6:30.
6:30 is when the budget committee meetings usually.
Okay.
So, and we try to limit it to 3 hours, because that, my brain's still there.
9:30, 9 o'clock or something like that.
Yeah.
We asked for it.
So, and again, hopefully, the budget that we present to you will be clear enough so that you can go, oh yeah, okay. But, we're gonna include things like with all the polls on but until we know how much money is in each fund, we can dream all we want, Your Honor.
Yeah.
But we're very close. We're, in fact, Mary Ann is in there right now, still working.
Yeah.
Goodness.
Pete,
Oh, no, I think.
no, reverse,
That being said, on the budget, are we going to have a goal setting session for council, or is that just not gonna be possible this year?
This year, please, just, I'm gonna
Yeah.
use the 5 bulk goals that you've already got. And move forward with those because they weren't really addressed last year.
Yeah.
So, and there's still good goals.
Well, but again, I'm gonna say that the city hall thing was not our goal, it
I
was.
was including
Yeah,
that
yeah,
one, yeah.
Yeah, but our, yeah,
I'm sorry, you're gonna have to include the city.
we gotta do a road oversight, we have to do some
You don't
maintenance.
do talking about things going away. If
Yeah,
you don't do the roof, this place goes away.
yeah,
So, city hall is, it may not be your goal, it's the budget that it's gotta do.
yeah.
Understood.
So the 5 goals that we do have is the audits, public safety funding, code enforcement, downtown vacant building lots, and city hall. Them are the 5 that we have.
But usually we like get, I don't know, we used to, I don't know, but my previous city administrator did it differently, but we got to hear from each department now. Is that just gonna be happening during the budget
During
process
the
then?
budget process.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or
It's
or
a lot.
we can ask for.
I will tell you this too, my initial inclination with this budget was no raises, period. But that, to me, that penalizes the employees that stuck around.
Agreed.
So, we normally use the, inflation rate as of January that year, so we can put it into the budget, which is 2.4% for, increases.
I still have one more question.
Oh, go ahead.
And then on the wastewater pump, plant pumps is okay being rebuilt, is that under warranty, obviously, no?
Yes,
They are?
the company that's rebuilding them agreed to do it at no
Okay.
charge.
Oh, great, nice.
Yeah.
Request, thank you for the budget calendar, I think that's great. We had some people that didn't come to budget at all last cycle. And I think it was just because they didn't know. I wondered, can you send out calendar invites now that we have these dates to anybody on the budget committee, so that way they can put on the calendar and that way they know?
That's a good idea.
Alright.
My ACE administrative services.
I saw her writing it down. Yeah.
Bernard, did you have some, anybody else have something I missed your hand? All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, and again, thank you for your support. We appreciate it.
Yes. All right, moving on to action items. We're gonna approve profile for the city administrator recruitment.
They're recorded, so we just make a motion so we can have discussion.
And move
Yeah.
to approve the profile for city administrator recruitment.
I'll second it.
All right, so I got a motion and I got a second and discussion. Tiffany.
I just have a couple of things, of course, sorry, on the, where it talks about the city. The city operates on a 2025-26 budget of 16 million, $16.5 million. That's, how much of that is grant money? I mean, should that be specified or not? I mean.
If, we can clarify it a little bit, again. I'm gonna be honest with you, it's not that much.
Okay, I mean, cause it's not very clear, it's hard to tell in the budget, and when you look at a budget, there's a lot,
because
there's a lot of muddling.
when you move money from one fund to another fund, it's double counted. But what we're finding is transfers that were supposed to have been done were not done. Transfers that were not supposed to be done were done. So until we really know. It's a good number to start with, that's all I can.
And the recruitment firm, they also asked for a copy of the budget, so whether that's part of the material that they're offering them, I don't know, but.
Okay, and then I'm wondering if we should put dedicated law enforcement services, or just, I don't know, law enforcement,
They don't run it,
well,
really. The
Yeah,
sheriff does. We
yeah,
just
we
pay
don't-
the bill.
yeah, or contractual law enforcement. I don't know, cause it's not really like something we manage, honestly, except through the budget. It's on the bottom of page 2, it's like, it's the bottom paragraph there.
law enforcement services right through a contract with the River County Sheriff's Office. That's.
Yeah, okay,
Gotcha.
now I hear you have it read it out. Can we put strong? Sorry, and then on page 4, residency within Cascade Lofts is strongly preferred, can we do that? Or-
Yes, we can.
Okay.
It would, all this was clarified through the city attorney and the recruiting department.
Okay, can we put strongly in there, strongly preferred?
And where is that at?
Page 4, ideal candidate,
Educational experience.
ideal candidate, that last sentence, or residency within Cascade Lofts, or just about the picture. That picture on the right hand side.
Resident within Cascade Locks is preferred, strongly preferred.
Strongly preferred, because. And then the only other thing that I see that I think is a real selling point, is that we work 4/10s.
Absolutely.
I think that should be on.
That should be on here. That's a good point. 410 should be on there as a benefit.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Or people that commute from.
Right?
somewhere else.
Exactly.
But yeah, that's like, I mean, cause
That's a good one.
That's a real talking point. I mean, people that get a 3-day weekend.
Yes.
Be in the middle of the doors. I think that's.
That's a good one.
I agree.
All right, Pete.
Couple comments I had, I think this is great, the community, so the very, very entry, I would remove the line that says, yeah, it's true, but again, we're trying to recruit people, east of, approximately 45 miles east of Portland, positioned along Interstate 84 in the Columbia River. I say get rid of Interstate 84, yes, we're on 88, but say we're on, right on the Columbia River, they're gonna know we're on 84 if you look on a map, right? It makes it sound like we're
But right on.
right on the freeway, and that's to me not a selling point, and I think that could be removed. I definitely think that, our designation is IMBA Trail, Town designation, only one of only 28 cities in the United States. I think that's something that
Yeah,
should
no,
be.
you can add that on there too, yeah.
And the photos, we got quite a few photos of the bridge. The bridge isn't really the cities, I'd like to see more pictures of
We
that.
had very limited pictures that came from tourism, that's where these things are.
Can we get pictures from, there's other people in town that have lots of photos. Could we get some other photos from other people? I was thinking about, Lorraine. She's got a lot of amazing photos of this town.
We can try it.
So just a little pet peeve, I'm like, I love the stern wheeler, but yeah, I think we got plenty of pictures of the bridge. I'd like to see more downtown personally. And honestly, when you're talking marketing materials, the photos are really what people's eyes go to. And I think they're really big, photo tells them 1,000 words, picture tells them, 1,000 words.
Yeah.
I can say 1,000 words trying to explain what the picture does, but anyways, you get my point. Thank you.
Anybody else? Bernard?
Yeah, so I concur with some of those comments regarding photos. I mean, he's an outdoor guy. I mean, I think it should be maybe this guy windsurfing or kiting, or
Agreed.
out trail running, and he's beautiful on the PCT.
Sailboats.
Yeah, sailboats, zipping through
Yeah.
the water.
Canoeing.
Of course, canoe club.
Yeah.
I mean, we're a really awesome community. And these pictures only tell, I think, part of the story. And then on the compensation, I think we should kind of enumerate the value of the compensation plus the benefits. So when you talk medical, when you talk PERS, you talk all these things, the 11 days of, for the record, is it 11 paid holidays or 12? So we added.
I thought we were up to 12, I think we did Juneteenth.
You look at that,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, when you take everything, the compensation package, I bet you it's 200 grand, when you add all that stuff together. You see 9, you're like, God, that's kind of but that's not the full picture. So I feel like we should give dollar figures to all that stuff, the PERS and blah, blah, blah.
So total compensation.
Yes, has a value of X per year.
Yeah.
You are living, you're getting an exceptional opportunity from a prosperity perspective.
So a dollar amount for,
And I think like all that plus it's down.
You tell,
for a
we
rate.
just have to look at our total what would what the
The
total
package.
package, that 115, what the total thing would be with all of the insurance coverages and all, because it's based on percentage of your salary. And come up with a number, it's gonna be.
Yeah,
100,000 came out to $184,000 total compensation package.
Yeah, again, that's the number they should be seeing through their
Yeah.
eyes, so we get that second look. And we attract a great candidate,
Yes.
a lot of good candidates.
Or at least a range.
Courtney,
On page 2. Reflecting its historic development as a working river and transportation town. What's a working river and transportation town?
Right, that's in the.
Under the community. The barge traffic when comes through the economy with the stern wheeler, I guess, is a working river. I didn't write this.
Right.
Where'd you see that?
yeah,
I don't agree with
It's
that.
the third paragraph down.
Third paragraph, thank you.
But if you can understand, as being a candidate, maybe Bernard can back this up. I'm not gonna read all those words. We know it's fluff.
Yeah.
And it's not gonna, it tell you one way or the, it's not, I'm not gonna go there because I don't know what working river. That's, that's not. they're
No,
not
but
looking at
if you do take the time to read this and it seems unprofessional, this is what we are presenting to people. I don't wanna come across as unprofessional. That's.
And when I read that, I was thinking about like the history of the town and what, we.
The
we
law.
came- The locks,
Lots.
right? Yeah, that's where I was thinking working river town, that was kind of our history.
That's what.
You know, but I think it would be more compelling if instead of talking about our history and constructing the locks and all the people that came here to get up river. Instead, we talk about, we're an outdoor recreation destination.
yes.
You know, that I think would be a whole lot more compelling to our ideal candidate that wants to mountain bike and trail run and snow ski and. And whatever else that they want, yeah, exactly, so, I think that. We've
That we're
got,
not that far from Mount Hood, from skiing, I mean, we're in an ideal spot for everything.
Everything.
but I think if they could, maybe wordsmith that a little bit to highlight those, features that make, why do people come here to. Visit, why do people come, wanna come here and recreate,
Ice cream.
yeah, and they call us ice cream cones in the state of Oregon.
This side of Mississippi.
All right, Sarah,
Let's see, I don't know, I lost it.
That's why I got to write quick notes.
It was a little response to Bernard's total compensation. Would you have that on the front instead of the salary? Cause I don't know if that's being misleading.
Yeah, plus not instead of, but you can put it in smaller parentheses, total package equals.
Okay.
Yeah, that's probably, I like that idea, so 90 is the salary and in parentheses, total compensation and benefits equals X.
Yeah, plus excellent benefits, then parentheses, total compensation.
Exactly,
X.
Includes health insurance and all this stuff.
everything, yeah.
Yeah.
cause it is wonderful, I mean,
Well, okay, so comparatively. Stevenson is advertising from 115 to 155,000.
I went through Stevens's though, and according to what they have out as far as their compensation and benefits, they don't do dental, they don't do vision, they don't have life insurance listed, and they don't have the Aflac. And they get less paid holidays, so that's what they have listed on their profile.
And that's what I've been told for a long time now, is that our wage package is what puts us, or, the full package is what puts us. In a
Yes.
competitive state, and so to have that included, front and center, that would be,
That's a good, yeah.
okay, so, I'm glad I forgot it, you brought it up?
Sure.
So, oh no, you just told us what Stevenson, right?
Yeah.
I didn't ask that question, but I was assuming Kaufman did a salary survey to identify what our benefits should be.
I have no idea.
The fact that they got Stevenson so much higher, now I'm starting to go, whoa, time out. I don't wanna lose it. Okay, so I'd like to now see Stevenson's total comp package compared to ours and make sure we're competitive.
Well, that's Prothman's job.
Yeah,
Yeah, well, I'm saying, well, if you
Yeah.
as administrator, if you please ask them to say, hey, can you talk me through how you determine our salary and tax benefits compared to Stevenson, because they shouldn't be that far off.
So the mayor is doing the talking with Rothman. Right, you're taking all these notes.
Yeah, I'm writing down the notes, so
Okay.
I'll.
I'm sorry, I thought you were, okay,
But no,
yes, please,
I-
No,
Madam,
he's working on budget.
all right, Madam Mayor, that's my request to you.
Separate myself.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah,
Okay, that is.
because we really were trying to keep Gordon out of the.
Understand, okay, well, I didn't know what Stevens was trying, I'd assumed that ours was gonna be comparable, but now that I'm hearing a much bigger number. Yeah, it's raising my eyebrows, and I wanna be competitive, I mean, this is an important job. We want a well,
So
you know,
I would tell you too, I will get hold of Prothman and do that, but you can get on Prothman's website and see Stevenson's profile. And
okay.
do your comparison as well, do your homework, but I'll get
I
hold
don't
of
know,
them.
that's their job.
I'll have them do it, but also, that's what I had to do, that's how I
Fair
found out,
enough, but
there's no dental, there's no vision,
They
there's,
were paying for them.
right. Okay, anybody else got anything?
Do we have more room in the budget for high salary for our administrator, or, I mean, I know that's upcoming, but we can't. In reality, we might not be able to afford $155,000.
We don't know what we have.
I think I would do this if it was me, between 100 and 120. 90 was what we hired Jordan at, I'm sure we hired Jordan at, and it was 87. But, we're looking for somebody with a little more experience,
Yes.
so we're gonna be able to do.
Tiffany.
And I will, we did have the wage analysis done, was not just what, a year or so
Yeah.
ago, and I mean, this is within the range of that wage analysis. So, and how, what's the population of Stevenson?
Just over 1,600 and we're over 1,400.
Very simple.
And,
But they're a county seat, you
Yeah,
know, they've got more businesses. Than
But we have an electric utility,
Yeah, right, but
they don't have that.
no, they have sales tax, that's how they're funded.
yeah, see, that's,
yeah.
And it won't show income tax.
Exactly, so that's again, that's
Well,
stucking our
yeah.
head in over.
Okay, only one at a time, because then they can't hear you. That's okay. Only because when more than one of us talk at a time, you absolutely cannot hear.
sorry.
Courtney.
To go back on this picture thing, page 4, right-hand column. That's a picture of the Corbett exit, I'm pretty sure. I can zoom in on my tablet here.
Oh, it is, yeah, that's not us,
That's not us.
but it's,
So better pictures, current pictures.
In-town pictures,
Okay,
and the 410.
and recreation.
yeah, I got it all written down.
A third paragraph,
Yeah, I got it all done.
working river transportation.
Yeah, I got it down. We want outdoor recreation, designated, but that totally redone.
So I'm just one technical
Mhm.
thing.
Struggle.
This is not a mayor council form of government, it is a council manager form of government. So I don't know what it makes any difference, but that's in the first paragraph under the city.
Good catch, thank you.
But doesn't our charter say, council administrator?
The council administrator, but it's the council administrator, council manager, it's basically the same thing. The mayor council implies that the mayor has veto power.
And we down.
It's either strong mayor or weak mayor,
I see.
and we have a weak mayor system where she has to work with the majority of the council.
Mhm.
Where the council manager form of government says this is the chief administrative officer, and that's the mayor is the political officer. Just, that's a real tiny detail, but it.
But it's important.
That's very important, that's our charter, so.
And just as well as in our charter that we have a city administrator, not a city manager, because that gets to be dirty too.
That's
It does.
totally semantical, has.
It depends who
nothing-
you're working with.
It's nothing to do with.
It does. It does.
I've been a city manager, I've been a city administrator.
The city manager gets to manage everything and
Yeah.
you hire and fire, city administrator don't.
No. No,
Okay, later discussion.
Yeah,
Anyway,
another time.
not that time, but that's,
Okay.
yes,
So,
all right.
so we got a motion on the floor for the approve the profile for the city administrator recruitment. We have all the changes, so we're not gonna approve this thing, and we're gonna bring it back.
You better bring it back.
So can
I would
I
like to see it one more time, please.
so can I get you to withdraw your motion?
Oh,
Okay,
okay,
so the motion has been withdrawn for that, thank you.
good.
All right, moving on. Approve the 2022-2023 audit filing with the Secretary of State.
So you have to file with the audit. And the audit was sent by our auditors to them, but the four findings or the three findings that we had to come up with policies. The state wanted those policies before the council met again. We had those policies, but they were never like all the maintenance in the electric department or the maintenance or the vehicle coordination of the fire department. They weren't followed, or they didn't even pull them out to give to the auditors, because we had them for the 22-23 audit. We pulled them out, we massaged them, updated them, and we sent it in, and now we need your approval for them, for those policies for the, I can't remember all of them that were in there, but we
Segregation of duty.
Separation of
control.
yeah, those are the IT policy, so. Just would ask you to. Approve the policy so that we can get these in the minutes and send it to the Secretary of State. And hopefully they will then accept that 22-23 item.
I'll make a motion.
Okay.
I move to adopt the year-end closing procedures, internal controls, segregation of duties, and IT security policy as presented to the Oregon Secretary of State Audits Division.
Second.
And Fruit, I'm going. All right, I got a motion on the floor by Seeger, second by Fruit, to move to adopt the year-end closing procedures and internal control segregation of duties in the IT security policies as presented to the Oregon Secretary of State Audits Division. Any discussion? Go ahead, Bernard.
Just one comment and say, I can't tell you how happy I am that Mary Ann stepped into the breach to take on and get right side of our ship. All these things that were presented in this report are, dramatically needed to attention, we're getting the attention. And I couldn't feel better about the path we're on, thanks to her and the whole team, moving this forward. So I just want to put that out there. And the only question I had was, and I said to the administrator earlier, where do we get that cybersecurity policy? I mean, to me, this is such a moving target, because technology and AI is just getting it's so hard to, get your arms wrapped around it.
That's a great point. This was from the suggestion from a CIS insurance company when they offered cybersecurity. But we also met with our RADCOM today or last week to talk about updating our cybersecurity and doing training. And actually, they do a free half-hour training on email security, for example, because that's how the cybersecurity gets in. But then we'll also be considering signing up for a subscription service where every probably council too would sign up for that. But anyway, they send you out a phishing.
Right.
And you respond, and if you block it, you get a little thing, congratulations, you learned your lesson. And if you don't do that, then they're gonna send you.
You click the link and sign up and give them all your banking information, you know?
So, we're working on with our cybersecurity people to do that kind of thing too. Just because you're right, it has to be updated, but this is the best we got right at the moment.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Pete.
Just, so the, documents that we're reviewing here that were attached behind the, staff report, are these the policies that were already in place, they've just been revised and updated, dug out and updated? That's correct. Got it. Thank you.
Tiffany.
So are these were updated to reflect the issues that we had in the 22-20?
That were addressed in the findings.
Okay.
1, 2, 3.
Okay, and I was wondering about some things, credit card controls, there was just like a really slight blip, a very tiny little blip in the AP. There's no page numbers on here, I think.
I know, it's
It's just very hard, very hard.
Page numbers on each one of the,
Not
Take
necessarily.
two, you got plenty of those.
Yeah, you've got, which one would you like? to
You're
do?
the headline of the page.
Yeah, I know, but you're gonna have to get that far back to find it. I'm just saying, it's a ways back there. It's, do we have credit card limit amounts that, I mean, because,
Oh, I know, and the city's credit cards,
yeah,
absolutely.
okay. Okay,
And there's different levels for different departments, because of the expense of their equipment or whatever, you know.
okay, and then, I assume that we have a procedure also, it's also on the accounts payable. That it says employee termination procedures ensure cards are returned, and if they're not returned, we have I'm pretty sure, we probably have a cancellation.
Oh, yes, absolutely,
You know, pretty
And they're not, it would be automatically.
swift,
yes.
yeah, pretty swift, okay.
You can go online and stop.
Oh, okay, good, yeah, I forget all about that, okay, so, just, on, I don't know, this is just a few pages back. Under the inventory, city of Cascade Locks. I think it's like the.
what page?
I can't.
Just kidding, sorry.
Yeah, funny, nice. I see you brought ice cream though. You know, my family, so it's not the letter, it's past the letter, it's the third page past the letter. No, in the future, we would like to incorporate the use of project management module to TAC, I think it's supposed to be tackle. I think it's, yeah,
It could be.
spelling issue on that one. I can show it to you later, because it really is difficult to find here. And
Oh, it's like, yeah, it's just you get the letter and then right after the letter, it's,
like the third page.
yeah. City of Cascade Locks, receivables and revenues grants, and then you've got receivables, revenue, highway funds, gasoline tax, and the next
And then
one.
you got inventory right there, that one, it just in a note at the bottom, it just says TAC, and I think it meant to say tackle. I think Miriam put that in there to see if I was really reading it.
Yeah, this already went to the Secretary of
Yeah,
State,
I
we had a
get that,
deadline.
but when we get back, we
Yeah.
can make these corrections. And then on the internal control check controls, page 1 or 2. That's being funny. It says blank check procurement receipt and storage. The last sentence of that says if any discrepancies are noted between the text sequence numbers ordered and the numbers received, the finance director is responsible to immediately solve the discrepancy. And I assume somebody else in the office will also be notified that happened. I just don't want it under one person's control. I think that especially if there's like.
Well, it's the finance director that controls the issuance of the check, so that's where the control lies.
If you have a problem with that person, then.
Nobody else is gonna find out.
Huh?
Somebody else would need to find out.
Yeah, exactly. So I wonder if it should be a 2-person control thing on that. I'm not sure. I'm not trying to micromanage the office. I just seeing things from an outside perspective, I think.
Well, I think the accounts payable, when they do the checks, is the one that would notice it, and they would have that verified by the finance director, because the accounts payable is the one that's. getting the check.
Let's see, I think I might have found. Are we talking about the tech, are we talking about the cybersecurity policy as well? Is that
Yes.
part of this discussion? I wanted to say, yes, I like the phishing, I actually wrote, I like that phishing, that they'll send a phishing email to make sure that people. Learn not to click the button. Cause you get things all the time, and it's so tempting, I mean, it's like so tempting. On the page 9 of that, is it normal for the finance officer to be in charge of the IT decisions and?
Yes, because the biggest thing the IT does is, backs. If we store. What's it called? Back up the accounting data every night. And so the IT department is one that's responsible for having that backed up data available. And since it's finance director, which, administrative services has too much to do, let's make sure the finance director, because it immediately would impact their ability to function.
That's not what the job description say right now, I'm just saying.
It's not what the job description said, Ken, because I was, yeah. So we probably need to.
What does it say?
You
do it?
Okay, so that's
Yeah,
something-
this is the segregation of duties, it's all over again, but yeah,
Okay,
we work as a team, we do.
right. Agreed, I get that, but sometimes when you don't work as a team, then there gets to be issues, but yeah, okay, thank you, that's all.
Any more questions or discussions?
I just again wanted to applaud Mary Ann's efforts here.
Yeah.
Yeah, reading through these controls, like every single process and how well documented this is. It gives me, I didn't even know this stuff existed, you know, and so it's just, it makes me realize, I guess it gives me more confidence in the way the city operates when I read through all of these processes and I realize how hard it is to type this stuff up. So just very grateful for her efforts to update all of this.
Yeah.
Just one more thing, when we do get this in a format, maybe we can put some page numbers on, please. Just,
They're all different policies.
It's all different policies.
or maybe a page, just something, 1A, 1B, 2A.
You usually,
something.
I think, you correct me if I'm wrong, you usually wouldn't have all these documents in one, but these are all the things they found on the audit. So these are fixes for that,
Yeah, it's
usually
not
these are
gonna
all
matter.
separate documents.
Right, I see.
We have to submit all this to the Secretary of State
Right.
to say what we're doing about the findings, so that's why they're all together now. Go ahead, Courtney.
Along those same lines, is there a possible way that when you read this packet, you make an automatic footer to label just the packet pages?
Yeah.
Not to mess with any other footer that's already existing, leave the page 1, page 2, page 1, page.
But when you're
2,
doing the packets number of the
The
pages,
final packet,
Or you have a discussion,
just for, discussion purposes.
that's a Kathy question.
Yeah, that's it, so.
It's just the way I do it now. It's gonna be harder for me to edit a PDF. We're trying to do it all automatic and not stand at the machine and do it paper by paper, so I'll have to.
I was
figure
gonna
it out.
comment, it's really nice having everything square, like, cause when you were scanning them in.
That's the machine.
Yeah.
You.
No, it's correct.
Well,
And we have a new machine too. But yes, it is better because it's
It looks very.
put together in the system, not at the copier. And the new copier helped.
I'll just suck it up.
All right, so all the questions and comments done, I've got a motion on the floor by Seeger, a second by Pruitt. To approve the 2022-2023 audit filing with the Secretary of State. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. All right, that's unanimous that the 2022-2023 audit filing with Secretary of State has passed. The motion was by Seeger and seconded by Pruitt. Yeah, all right, moving on. Approve the GDS engineering for a COSA electric rate study.
I'm sorry, this is for electric, not city lighting.
Just need to pick one of the others.
We had talked about this previously, the GDS was the one that did our cost of service analysis last time, that's what COSA stands for. And we approached them, since they have the basis, or they have a foundation with us, that they could do a new COSA for us that would cover the next 4, 5, 6 years. With all of the things that are going on with the contract with BPA, the legal, against the Columbia River Power System. And the fairness issues that you had mentioned before. I did approach FCS Group, because I've worked with them before, and other Oregon municipal electric utilities companies use them for their rate studies. They came back with a full proposal of $53,075. We need this fairly quickly. We need this to address all of the issues that you heard earlier. Needs to be factored into this, the cost of rate study, and so based on an agency and what's the immediacy of the budget, I would encourage you to select the GDS group engineering to do this COSA.
All right,
I move to approve GDS engineering for a COSA electric rate study.
Second.
all right, I've got a motion by Happy, second by Pruitt for the electric cost of service analysis, electric rate study. Any discussion, Pete?
I just really appreciate that you got a competing bid. It gives us just having one option to choose from doesn't really give us a choice. So thank you for doing the legwork to give us comparative analysis then.
Bernard?
Yeah, so I'm also, as you know, very pleased that we're moving this forward. What, I have a request, maybe council, if you're supportive of this, that we get a list of the areas that we want GDS to focus on. Because there are, like, if you take just a random consultant, do a COSA, they'll do a COSA for you. We have special things that we're wrestling with at this point, or Oregon mining, type customers, this tier 1, tier 2. So there's several things that we identify. And and things like, the ESG program, all these things, I would love to see them enumerated. I thought that council discussed them and say, you're gonna do a COSA, but make sure you get 1, 2, 3, these 4 points. So we get the value for this money we're spending to get the update. And I just, right now, there's a couple of things flying around in my head, but I'd like to see it in writing on what we're asking them to do beyond a general COSA.
Well, that was in the previous discussion we had.
I know, but I forgot what, I know we discussed it, but do we have a list now? Can
We
you
did.
share that with us?
I shared that with them.
Okay,
That's why they came up with the 40,000, because they have to look at the fairness issue you were talking about and the data center kind of thing. And we had that discussion after the council meeting a month ago where we could raise our rates on the data center, because where's he gonna go? Because the current political climate says data centers are gonna pay for 100% of their power. So those are issues that they are aware of. And I will make sure that they.
yeah, I just wonder, just in my mind, I want us to review what are those issues were, so we get what we want for this $40,000. Sound like you did it, I just want to kind of look at it one more time before we send it to the breach. That's all I'm asking for.
So Tiffany?
Well, and then tonight, I think we added, hearing all the work that's gonna be needing to be done at South Bank. I wonder how much farther we can press it. That,
Okay, so South Bank balance and citywide. Okay.
They definitely looked at that before, but I think from what I heard in this conversation tonight, there's a lot of maintenance, I wouldn't even call it deferred, just ignored, that specifically relates to South Bank.
yeah. I mean, I know it's a really high rate that they pay, but I mean, what do? You can't ask the citizens to pay for it.
Well,
So,
just in South Bank's defense, it really depends a lot on the weather. There have been years when South Bank has paid more than the cost has been, and there's years when it's paid less. You're never gonna get it
Right,
right,
perfect.
but we gotta get it close, and that's part of really the fairness issues with the data center. And
Right.
that stuff.
So I think we're looking at the average over, we're talking like 20 years, you're right, there's blips up and down, and we're not trying to, we can't accommodate all that, but it's trying to kind of the average over the, longer term.
You're talking South Bank?
Yes, yeah.
Well, yeah.
The peanut butter spread, remember that?
So if I got this correctly, we want to identify maintenance, room for the maintenance budget kind of thing, and all the maintenance equipment, vehicles. Balance between South Bank and City Light, the Columbia River operating system, the impacts, judicial impacts, the BPA contract, data centers, parent caring of that, and fairness. With
That's a good list, thank you.
In the tier,
So-
in the tier, what?
That's the fairness, that's the.
The tier,
data
or
set,
tier one,
tier
tier,
two.
okay, okay.
So did we want to withdraw the motion until we see this, or?
No, I don't know.
Okay.
Just-
We can, we can.
Go ahead. Okay, we're good with that? Did anybody else have questions or comments? No? All right, so I have a motion on the floor, motion by Happy, seconded by Pruitt, for the electric cost of service analysis, electrical rate study. All in favor, say aye.
Wait, he's in, sorry, for us.
So, back to this, the purchasing policy. So we've got basically two bids. Can you remind me, what does our purchasing policy say regarding this level of expenditure?
Under $150,000, you can have 3 informally solicited bids.
Okay, isn't it required or?
To the best, reasonable efforts, that I think is the way the code reads,
To get 3
to
bids?
get 3
And
bids.
we got 2.
We got 2 because I only got one from ROABU people that they use, that was FCS. And then, the people I would have used are ones got bought by Vantage Point, which is doing our EDA hardening system. And this is not for the minutes, and I am not happy with our current electrical engineers, and so I didn't even ask them.
Okay,
But that's my personal last, I'm sorry, and I just added one more thing, wildfire mitigation, the electrical.
yes, thank you, that's it, yeah. This is,
All right,
okay.
so we're ready? So all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. All right, so unanimously, the motion was by Happy, seconded by Pruitt for the electric cost of service analysis, electrical rate study. All in favor? All right. Next is approve adjustment of allowable rebate for heat pump water heaters to 100%.
So the previous administration, with the 3-year contract we signed with BPA last October, instead of giving us a definitive amount for every year for 3 years, they gave us the amount that they projected they could do for the whole 3-year period. To make that last longer, the previous administration said we're only gonna do 50% for the heat pump water heater. My contention is, people want to put in heat pump water heaters, and they save a lot of money, and we get reimbursed for it. If we take right out of $81,000 in 2.5 years instead of 3, we're still getting the same. So, and you got all the rebate prices and everything else on here that you can do that. That was the only one that was affected and changed. But that's also probably the most popular energy saving device that's on the rebate list. Whatever you want to do.
I'll make a motion.
All right,
I move to approve adjusting the percentage of allowable rebates for heat pump water heaters to 100%.
Second.
all right. I got a motion by Seeger, second by Calvin. I probably messed that up, did I?
Not too bad.
Ah,
Real close.
any discussion?
So,
I'm gonna go with.
Oh,
first. I'm gonna go with you first.
Have we ever met or exceeded budgets in previous years?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
No, in years we've done a lot of windows, we've done a lot of roofs, and we've done everything, what different things are. It's not very, doesn't very frequently, we usually do a lot of carryover. And I think it'll be the same here this way, because people aren't. With oil prices going up, they don't have the money to do the kind of renovations that this engenders. So I think we'll be fine. It's very few years that have been my experience here that we've gone over that.
Right, Bernard first and then you.
so I had a conversation with one of our council members, for this meeting, talked about this little. And I said, if I went and visited 100 households in Cascade Lots, how many of them do you think have a heat pump water heat system? I said, you think it's 30 and 70 of them have the old electrical coil. And this person says, oh no, it's probably it's less than 30, maybe 10, you know? And so if that's true, and let me, can I do a poll? How many in this, in our, we all residents, how many have a heat pump? We have 2, 3, 4. So we're, how many out of how many? That's not bad, okay. But still, 6 out of the, how many ever do not. And to me, this is a win, 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 okay? Win one is the customer because they're using less energy and they're saving money on their heat bill, okay? Win two is the city because we're buying less putting less demand on electric utility so we can keep our energy demand on that tier 1 basis, right? And then win 3 is just like environmental issues, you know, all these things. Being efficient helps everything when you're concerned about quality of life. So I'm very much for this increase. You know, I had 2 questions though. One, do we know of all the programs involved or we offer that this is the biggest bang for the customer's buck? Do we have an analysis
I
of
don't know
that?
that we have a feel for that because it kind of goes in cycles, you know?
Okay. All right, well, needless to say, I prefer applying resources where there's the most value, right? And if we're gonna up the value here, I don't wanna neglect something that actually would be better for a customer, so that's my only hesitation, but.
Except they're all there.
Yeah.
They're still all available. This is just, and they're all available at 100%.
Oh, they're all,
This
okay.
is the only one that was
Oh,
not.
well, that makes it easy, all right, thank you, okay, that's his question. And then the next question was, so when I think about obstacles to this improvement, part of me says one of them is the infrastructure, the cost of the equipment. But the other part is hiring a plumber, getting to come out, replace, that's the whole thing. Most of us are it's coordinating, so we wouldn't do that on our own. We have to go through that process. And maybe that's an obstacle for getting more of our residents using energy more efficiently. And I'm wondering if there's appetite for like, I don't know, $150 like credit for the labor to get this thing done. That's the other 4th thing, it's jobs. We employ plumbers who do these projects and God knows we want more plumbers doing great work. So I don't know if council would be interested in that, but when I think of obstacles, that's one of the obstacles I think of on why more households aren't getting these projects done.
Go ahead, Happy.
Just as a comment, I was curious because I did not raise my hand and I was like, these things sound awesome, you know, how much, and it's like $1,900 to get one of these, you know, so even at a $1,000 rebate, it's not even covering the cost of the purchase of the heat pump, not to mention the electrical work and plumber you're gonna have to come out, and in my experience, the cost of the materials is gonna be about, you know, you're gonna have another $1,000 on top of that. So I'm totally in favor of this, and whatever we can do to incentivize people making this upgrade, because it's, I mean, if you start reading about these things, I was like, oh, you think about all the appliances we have in our house, and our heat pumps. I mean, my house was built just 6 years ago and it's so antiquated. This thing, when we go on vacation, we turn our heat, you know, our water heater off because there's no way for it to have that presence monitoring, and these new things, the way that they do that, they'll keep the water when you need it, but not when you're not using it. I'm like, this makes so much sense. But yeah, I'm totally in favor of this.
Sure. I think another obstacle would be, I mean, how many citizens know that we have this program?
That's what I was
It's
gonna say.
something we can put in the newsletter, you know, to drive some
Yeah,
marketing.
every newsletter.
It is.
We just started sending
It's
them
on the
out.
2nd page. It's on.
I read it very thoroughly.
There's a button on the front page of the website that you just gotta push.
Rebates. It's going to headline the May newsletter.
I did think it was a little bit hard to find. I mean, on our went to the city website and I was trying to find a list of all
Are
the
you on your
rebates.
phone or a computer?
I did on the computer,
It's just right here.
yeah.
It's right here.
But I went to like search and I even went to the search and just typed in, the utility rebates, and I don't remember how I found it. I stumbled across it accidentally. after I tried to find it, but people,
It's kind of top of mind for a lot of folks, so they, some,
And again, it's not an immediate payback, it's over time that as your energy bill goes down over time.
Any other questions or discussion? All right, so I have a motion on the floor by Seeger, seconded by Courtney.
That's okay.
Approve the adjustment of allowable rebates for the heat pump water heaters to 100%. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. All right. So it was approved unanimously, motion by Seeger, second by Calvin. And approve adjustment of the allowable rebates for the heat pump water heaters to 100%. All right, moving on. Approve Zoom link to be posted on council agenda along with YouTube live broadcast.
Questions?
We're all melting. I can see like. We're almost done.
Again, we had technical issues today, yeah, but we were able to get around them, but. YouTube Live only allows people to watch. We do allow people to make comments, but they have to send us in writing or they come to the meeting. Or if we have a Zoom link that's password protected, they can come. We only had one tonight. They can come, they can raise their hand, we monitor it, they can comment if they want to. They can address it, just about that provides another way to talk to you. And provide feedback to what the efforts the city is making. It's up to you.
I'll just say that we used to provide that, and when we went YouTube live,
Are we gonna make a motion?
yes, we will make a motion. Give me a motion.
I move to approve to allow virtual public participation in our city council meetings via Zoom links printed and posted on the agenda and YouTube live broadcast.
All right,
Second.
all right. All right, I got a motion by Price, second by Calvin. To approve the broadcast of city council meetings. To allow the virtual public participation in our city council meetings via Zoom links printed and posted on the agenda and YouTube live broadcast. And what I was gonna share is that we used to post that all the time, and when we went YouTube live, they decided to take that off of there. So we have not been posting the Zoom link. On Kathy's behalf, this would actually make her job easier. And that's the only thing I wanna throw out to you guys. And Bernard,
So yeah, of the 5 options, I am in favor of the expanded option 2. And I say that as someone who spent the better part of 6 months on a remote because I was at school every Monday. And I had to log in to participate in these meetings. And I know I'm a council member, maybe I should be special, but I don't like that. I want any person who wants to weigh in on a Zoom, even if we got a jerk, we'll eliminate that jerk, right? I know it kind of opens up for some jerk to get on. I'd rather us have the jerk and have to cut him off or her instead of not allowing it easy for anybody to get on. So that's why I'm for 3.
for 3, right? Yeah, all right.
2 or 3, 2 or 3.
3.
expanded option 2.
We're all like.
What page number?
Page number.
So as someone who is kind of, in favor of removing that from the agendas, it really stemmed from the fear that people were gonna get into our meetings and then hijack, right?
Yeah.
And I think that we do some things internally already to limit that from happening. We've got a waiting room. People can't just jump right into our meeting. They don't get into the meeting unless we admit them to the meeting. And I guess, we got that policy already in place, but I think the other thing that we need to make sure is that Kathy, or whoever's the one that's running the computer, knows how to, kick somebody out or boot somebody out if they're acting inappropriately. But I think we also need to have some training internally too about what can people say and what can't they say. Because there's some real, you can have First Amendment issues if you prevent somebody from speaking. but you can also have a, hostile work environment for people that are here listening to, speech that's harassing. So, I think I'm okay with that. I think so long as we know how to respond to it and what we can and can't do.
Alright, Tiffany.
I think that, we just have to, it has to be just like they're here in, here, how are they going to notify us that they want to speak on a particular topic?
They raise their hand in Zoom, there's a hand.
Okay, but we also have to maintain, it has to be that they can only have,
timer.
well, with the timer, not only the timer, but when they can speak, they can. Once we're in deliberation and we're talking, time for them to talk is over, just like if they were sitting here, so they get to speak after the city administrator report.
You have the ability to lower their hands on Zoom.
Okay.
It's, you can do that with your Zoom meeting.
So I think we just have to get it out there that you, if you're the public and you wanna talk on this item, now's the time to do that. So once we start talking, then it's over. So I think it'll be just up to the mayor to implement that this, okay, public comment time is now over. Now we're gonna deliberate it ourselves.
Yeah, and our council procedures are pretty clear on both during public comment and as an agenda items come up. But it would be that they would speak before we get it, before the motion. Right? Is that what we're, okay,
Yeah.
just so I'm clear. Courtney.
I have two things, so if we're going to allow people to sit virtually and raise their hands in the moment. Does that mean that people here physically will be able to also raise their hands in the moment without filling out a card?
They, according to our council procedures, that's how the procedure is. I know in the past we've had struggles with that. But according to our council procedures, they can talk during the public time. And then they can also comment on each agenda items.
Right, but with the raise of a hand,
If she recognizes.
Yeah.
if she recognizes them,
Right.
but if they fill out a
If she
form,
recognizes them.
if somebody fills out a form, they still have to be recognized?
Yes, because the form comes up to her.
Yeah, it comes to me and then I would know that they're one.
Okay,
That just tells me what agenda, if they're here, then that would tell me what agenda item they're wanting. That's done.
okay, and then the second question was, you mentioned that it would be easier on Kathy, how? Can you
Because
explain that a little bit?
currently Kathy has to send a link to everybody that wants to participate. So Nan gets a link. If Bernard's at school, he gets a link. If I'm sitting at home, I get a link.
Or any presenters.
Yeah, so everybody has to be sent a link. If we put it on the agenda, it's there. They do
Gotcha,
it.
gotcha.
So instead of separate emails too.
Yeah,
So just for clarification, we're already live streaming, publishing, recording with YouTube while also running the Zoom. And
Yes.
that's where we're already running both of those platforms.
Yes.
Yes.
As it stands.
Zoom does the recording that turns into the minutes. YouTube is just a live presentation. I know it's just, cause they copy it, you can go look at it for 2 weeks or something.
I thought it was published on YouTube where I can go back to last
It is
year.
on, it is.
Yeah.
on
It is.
Okay. Alright, thank you.
any other questions? All right, so I have a motion on the floor by Price, second by Hellman, to expand option 2, the YouTube live with open Zoom meeting IDs printed on the agenda. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. All right, so the motion was by Price, second by Hellman, passed unanimously to broadcast the expanded option number 2, YouTube live with open Zoom meeting IDs printed on the agenda. All right, moving on, mayor and city council comments. All right, but now we're gonna start with you.
Sure. So just, 4 things here. I wanna just applaud Ted Dodd from the Port Commission. He really was the leader in the trail construction we've seen out near Wyatt. And put us on the map. I mean, it was him and his volunteers who sought out that IMBA trail town designation, got the approval, and it's incredible. I was out picking up litter with some volunteers, and we would always take the scenic road home, we would go to 51 and then the Wyatt, and then come around on Herman Creek Lane. And every time there's like 10 cars parked down at the bottom of there, all of their mountain bike trucks, out there playing in our gorgeous scenery. And I just think it's been such a successful effort by him. Agreed, it started a long time, started when I was here. Tom and I, we were talking to the Forest Service about getting a darn EIS so we could get these trails, authorized. And it's been a tremendous success. And again, I want to show special gratitude to Ted because he really has worked his tail off, and we've got the results. So we're on the move, and more good things to come. He did a little presentation with him and his staff at Thunder Island like a week ago. And they talked about the new section of the trail coming, and the next section is gonna start on the west side of town, right near where the PCT and Gorge Trail 400 start, where that new parking lot is. And there's gonna be a new trail from there all the way to Dry Creek Road, okay? So there's another, 3-mile section, which will distribute the traffic, which will be great. You have people on the east side and the west side. And of course, it's so pretty back there. There's trees that are 400 years old, and 60-inch DBH. It's just extraordinary forest. So more good things are coming, doing amazing things. Next thing, I just want to applaud the folks who put together that ACG event this weekend. It was tremendous. I saw a comment on Facebook how hotels were filled, and this is not a high season for the town. So to see that economic energy being created by these events, I'm just like, yes, bravo. And yes, I would love if we had I like calling it tourism tax. I don't like preferred beverage. That's too long. We're just trying to tax tourism so we can collect a little more money to take care of fire department and the tourists, right? Anyway, hopefully we can get that approved. And this thing, we're just gonna be putting more synergy in our town. Next thing is, there is a bike to school day in celebration of Earth Day on April 22nd here in Cascade Lodge. I don't know how they got my name, but they knew I liked the bicycle. So I'm gonna be biking with some kids at 6:50 a.m. from the Shahala neighborhood to our fabulous school. If you like biking, these kids are a riot when they're pedaling around their bikes. Get on your bike and join me. I've got an extra bike, but I want somebody to bike, so I'd love to see some more council members out there. April 22nd. And it's in the morning. I think I'm meeting them at like 6:50, but there's gonna be groups of different areas of town convening on the school. Let's see. And then last thing, so I went to a ribbon cutting up in Welch's, and for a fire station, a new fire station was built in their fire district. And theirs was much more expensive than ours, just to be clear, 17 million, okay? It was not a cheap project. But speaking of facilities, they partnered with the Forest Service, and the Forest Service kicked in 6 million. So instead of 17, they spent 11. That's a big discount. So I still am enamored with the concept of having City Hall, the post office, the port, all these municipal services all co-located in one spot. And just something else to keep in mind, if we can do that, we can probably improve our tax base, because the post office sits on a beautiful piece of land, riverside. We don't accept any tax on that money because they're a federal agency. Anywhere there's a governmental agency, there's no property tax being collected. We should maximize all properties in town, especially properties that are on high value property. And then Consolidated does that. Not to mention, if we do a project, we can do like what the Forest Service did and have all these different pitch in, and then it reduces the burden on us and our taxpayers. So I hope we'll just keep that in mind. I'm open to this rural development grant, but I know those are hard to get. And in case that doesn't fall through or come through, we should be really seriously thinking about, again, partnering so we can do this facility project, but not kill ourselves doing it. All right, that's all I have. Thank you.
All right. And Courtney,
Tourism tax doesn't get much more transparent than that.
That's right. Thank you.
I like that.
So I wrote it down. Do I have permission in revisions to call it a tourism prepared food and beverage tax?
It seems to imply that it's just on the tourists though, because that was a question that came up, can we, can we separate tourism and locals? And I'm worried that it might create the wrong impression that we are just taxing tourists.
Yeah, just checking.
Well,
Anyone could absolutely disagree
yeah,
with
you
me.
know, you're right, but I think informally, if you're talking to a neighbor or a thing, say, look, the intent is a tourism tax. It's to gather revenue from our tourism economy to help us fund the fire EMS that they're creating a service demand for. So I don't know if, I think you're right, there might be some legal
Yeah.
shenanigan, because you're right, locals do have to pay for it, it's not just being paid by tourists. But when you're having conversations, that's the word I'm using.
Yeah.
Okay.
I like that.
That's my two
That'd be
cents.
one of the questions, like number 3, I think we can restructure that answer, so it's a tourism tax. Okay, thank you.
Courtney, did you?
Yeah, I talked to Mr. Dodd, what was his name?
Yeah, Ed Dog.
And he mentioned that he brought people out from several different states to help clean up those trails back there. I think that's amazing what
He is
doing.
doing incredible work.
Yes, he is.
It's really tremendous.
Shout out to Mr. Fox and Mary Ann for all of their hard work. Everybody in City Hall, thank you all. That's all I've got. Thanks.
Thank you, Courtney. Tiffany.
First I wanna say, thank you to the fire department and our utilities. I mean, I can't stress how much more I love living in a small town. That I know that my community is gonna have my back if something disastrous happens. I mean, it's just, it's so much different than living in a big city where you just get lost, you just get swallowed in the vastness of the city, and I just love looking at pictures online, seeing that, the utility company showed up. Probably didn't really even have to be asked, they probably just heard it and showed up. Fire department, willing to put their lives on the line, and then we have other people that would come help us if we need it. It just makes me feel good to know that we live in such a community, because you're just not gonna get that anywhere else. So I thank you to the community and, our utilities and our fire department for stepping up and taking care of us. And and genuinely caring for one another. Thank you to whoever cleaned the plaza. The courthouse plaza, the weeds are gone, love it, it's great, can't wait for the flowers to come in that were supposed to be in there last year. And I hope that next week when you guys have or whenever you have your meeting report, although I do appreciate that we have a lot of tourism, I don't appreciate the parking issues, because they were parked up on my street. To park, so we've gotta think, when we're gonna have these big events. We have to figure out what we're gonna do with parking. I know, cause I noticed they closed off the school this time, so people couldn't park down there. Which is good, but then you have all these people that gotta park out, so. Somehow, we need to come up with something for the parking for these ginormous events that we have. So hopefully that's something you two can have a discussion with the port next week, but other than that, I think that's it. We already covered the other 2 days.
Tom.
Can I ask a question about the parking really quick? I know this is kind of unusual, but I didn't see it myself, and I'm just curious, was there, the empty lots that we have on Main Street, were those utilized at all?
No.
No, so we had people in the residential neighborhood,
That
but
we had I had 2 cars parked up, of course, down our street, and then thankfully, they're not parking on the fire lane side, which I really appreciate that that's there now. But we did have 2 people parking up on Moody.
So cars everywhere, but also empty spots in the middle of downtown.
Yeah, and then up at the trailhead, there was lots of people, but that's to be expected. And I kind of wonder how that's gonna work too. I mean, I don't know how many people go biking at once up at the bike trail, so we just have these growing pains that we just kind of need to figure out, I think, as we get bigger and better.
Thank you for
Yeah.
the clarification.
All right, Tom.
That's, see, you mentioned Todd there, I took him out to our 26 acres, well, he maybe showed up at city council here sometime, I showed him the 26 acres, and that you acquired. And so he looked over that and his comment is, in the biking world, the more places you have, the more things you have to do, the more people you get to come, because then they have, for they got Easy Climb, you got Wyatt, you're gonna have the west side, if they can get the 26 acres that we have up there to put bike trails through, that would add to, what they do. So anyway, he may come here sometime and we'll see. He's been through it, moving on, it's all brushy, so by putting trails out through there, at least it creates fire breaks for you, if nothing else. By having that out through there, cause the 26 acres we own is pretty thick brush. And the other thing, to see how the world changes, having grown up in here. So I remember, my dad was a lineman. And back in their day, they had, they got surplus military rigs, that's what they went out in and they climbed every pole, they didn't have a bucket truck. They put on the spikes, they climbed the poles and that's how they did it. And we accepted, and back in the day, they accepted a lot of outages, we had a lot. And you accepted it then, because before then, you didn't have any power, but once you got power, it was like, well, cool, if it went out, big deal, but I had to live without it. Nowadays, you can't, it's like, you can't live without things. And it really not that too many years ago, whether it's emergency services or whether it's power, we accepted going and getting, we went to the point where we got used rigs. So hardly ever did you buy a new rig for something. You went and got used rig, because that's all you could afford, whether it was a used fire engine, and every now and then you'd pick up something new somewhere. But you can hear here right now tonight, the level is, we want new on everything. And your fire emergency services is gonna be wanting new on everything, because that is the way the world is now. So we're gonna have to figure out how we keep moving into that world of, people are not gonna be accepting the fact that you're buying used things and coming out and doing emergency services with them or power with them. Same thing from emergency services, end of it, I broke an ankle on a football game. They threw me in the ambulance we had, and at that time, just didn't use beat up old ambulance, threw me in the head of the hospital, and things started jerking around and jumping all over the place. It broke down a Bonneville, but they knew that they had an ambulance that may not be that good. They were following the ambulance with a station wagon. Somebody's station wagon, they took me out of the ambulance, threw me in the station wagon and got me, but that's how life was back then. It is, you didn't have EMTs, you didn't have paramedics, you had first aid people. That's all they knew, and the whole plan of the volunteers of the town at that time was grab and run. It was like, if there's something wrong with somebody, whatever, it's hard, whatever, we can't do other than we're either grabbing them, we're throwing the car, and we're getting to Hood River or to Gresham just as fast as we can, and that's how they did it. We don't do that. And so the world's changing, and it's gonna continue to change, and that changing world becomes more and more expensive for citizens. It's just the way it is. So we're burdened with the having to keep up with what that world is and how to afford that world. So I believe this visitor tax is, I mean, because it's the world we're in, we gotta look for new things, and I think this is a good step, so that they've constantly taken on steps. We did the step of adding the monthly payment to people to do it, and they accepted it, let them vote on it. This is the step we're doing, and I guarantee you, we are not done with steps we're gonna need. But I applaud the council, because that's what councils have to do, to, what is it gonna take to do the things we need to help our citizens out, to be able to have the kind of city, the kind of services and all that they, and that's what they're requiring nowadays. They don't wanna be without power. They don't, they want a doctor there, even though we don't have a doctor, they want a paramedic there, so it's, we do the best we can. I think that, I think this council is is looking to do all the things that best they can for the citizens. So, yeah, you're not done looking for, you are not done looking for financial things, cause it's gonna be never ending. Anyway, we have come a long ways. Escalon has come a long ways, and it's gonna continue to grow. Anyway, that's it for me.
Thank you, Tom. Sherelle?
I do really wanna explore, the, possibility of having a council listening session. Maybe, I don't know if one or two counselors would wanna join that effort with me, just to kind of maybe even host it at one of the businesses, if one of the, maybe the tavern or the brewery, or the breweries would wanna host us and just have a listening session. I would definitely need some more information, but I think it'd be valuable, and I don't know if anybody would wanna join me, or if you guys think it's worth doing.
Great. Did you have a question for her?
Yeah, so I support that. My only request or suggestion is that you need the fire chief there and you need someone who can talk budget. Cause that's a lot of questions. They say, well, how come you get all this money? What are you doing with the money we give you already? And unless you have good answers, then those won't go with it, right? So I feel like that's how a lot of times those conversations go. Just have nice, sharp, good, well-researched responses. Then you start making, you make this tourism tax more compelling. I don't wanna lose them because they ask us a bunch of hard questions and we don't have smart answers. And they're like, well, this is a bad idea. Whoa, come back, right? So that's my request. We gotta have those numbers so we can be informed and this can be an experience that leads them, what I hope would be the right direction. That's all my.
In my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, Kathy, that once we put this on the ballot, then the city can't be involved. No city employees can be, the council can go and campaign about it, but the city staff cannot.
So we're pretty short on time, yeah.
Not just because it's short of time, I think it's using taxpayer money to promote this, it's something to do with that.
We can't put anything in the newsletter, Bernard knows that.
Right.
So, am I,
And not on city time, anything like that, we can't
No
discuss
city
it.
resources.
so if the fire chief goes, he can't be on the clock, he has to be on
That's
some
correct, off
time.
the clock. But he can go and answer questions
Off the clock,
off the clock.
okay, just so we're clear.
How does that work if you're on salary? Are you ever off the clock?
Well, that's a good point.
And can you have an opinion as a city employee for a?
You can have an opinion, sketch first.
So there you go.
You can't, yeah.
So, yeah, I just, not to interrupt you, but,
Yeah.
just so you know, but, you got more?
No.
Are you sure? All right, Pete.
Good discussion on everything we talked about again tonight. Tiffany, I think that I heard you say several times, my brain thinks different, I look at things differently, but you know what? There are other people in town that think the way, similar to the way you think, and that's why we're stronger having this, group of people, because we all represent folks that, we all look at these things differently, so you're catching stuff that other people are gonna catch too, so I think that we had really good discussion about all this stuff. I'm looking forward to seeing, Mr. Fox's, presentation. I'll go back and watch that on Zoom. I'm sorry I couldn't be here. But what I did catch, I heard someone that was extremely competent, knows our system, is passionate about doing things right, and has a plan, so I think you said, he's got a vision and he just doesn't have the resources. And, so anyways, I think we made a good hire there and I'm glad we've got him and I appreciate him coming to speak tonight. And, Mary Ann, again, I'm very grateful for the work that she's putting in for our city. And so excited that we got 22-23 behind us. And I don't think 23-24 is gonna be that far behind. So I'm really excited and I'm hoping we can actually have 24-25 done before the end of the calendar year. So I feel like it'd be nice if we could actually get that goal accomplished. Our audit's And we are really getting close, and I think we're moving in the right direction, and momentum is behind us. We got a lot of momentum moving in the right direction. And I feel like this last audit took a long time, but the work it's gonna take to get the next two done, we already did a lot of it, and so those are gonna go much smoother. So that's really all I got. Again, good discussion on the prepared food and beverage tax. And I like the messaging on that, you know, this is really about how do we get money from the tourists, to help cover the services that they are
creating.
they're creating, that's right, the demand that they're requiring, so, I think that's, really. I wonder though, how many people are just gonna vote no because they just don't like taxes, it doesn't matter what the tax is, you know? And I think that's the reality that we have to get around that. And so being mindful of those optics, you know, and I can totally understand it, you know, even a 7% is probably not gonna be enough. But how do we get it passed? So good discussion, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thanks to council for all the communication and the talks and expressions of how we feel about the food and beverage and all these pressing issues that we have going on in our town. I wanted to give a shout out to Carrie. Last council meeting, I gave a shout out to Elena for doing the sign language for the deaf person that came to City Hall. And she, whenever I came to City Hall, she would not take credit for all of it. She said Carrie absolutely was on the phone calling the garbage company, doing all these things for this lady. So she pointed out that Carrie deserved kudos too. So I want to make sure that I give Carrie the kudos that she needs in doing that, that we actually can communicate with the deaf here at City Hall. And we didn't even know it, you know, so I'm grateful for that. We attended the Regional Solutions Team meeting on April 1st, me and Gordon, and it was really good. ODOT and people from all over were here, and that's where we talked about the Ruppin Creek slide and all that. It was really good. And I meet with the port the first Wednesday of every month. So we met with them on April 1st, and we did talk about the sound and all that for city council chambers, and they are still willing to help with that. I spoke about National Night Out, which is in August, which is a little bit away, but I want us to do a good job at it. So they're willing to help us foot the bill for that as well. And then we did have a citizen that has volunteered to work in our cemetery, cleaning up our headstones and stuff. They will not be part of the city. They're just gonna be a community member that wants to do well and make our cemetery look nicer by cleaning the headstones and doing that, so that you guys will see somebody out there working on that. Just know that maybe stop and say thank you or something. And Tanisha Pruitt, I wanna recognize her for her Special Olympics for the cornhole. Her and her partner got bronze this weekend, and that's a big deal. So I wanted to make sure I recognized her and tell her congratulations. And then we also are in desperate need of people to sign up for budget. We need 4 people. Otherwise, we can't do budget, even if we got a budget, we need 4 people. So if you know anybody, please encourage them to apply to be on budget committee. It's only a few meetings out of a year. It's a short commitment. So if we can get them, and then we have one on planning, and then we do have an opening on tourism. We have a citizen resign due to commitment, too many commitments and all that, but will be an active advocate for our town anyway. So we do have one opening on tourism. And then, like city administrator said, on April 22nd, we'll be going to Pendleton to the LLC Spring Conference, so that'll be exciting. And then I don't know how many of you guys took the time to attend the thing at the pavilion about the campground that the port is talking about. I don't want to go too far, but I do want you guys to know that the port said that they will be going to the community first, and then they will bring it to council after that. They're not trying to like miss us or ignore us or whatever, but they want to make sure that the community is buying into it before they bring it to council. Otherwise, if the community's not buying into it, then there's no sense in bringing it to council. So And that's my concerns with the campground thing is I would like to see some fire, police, fire and EMS help. And also I would like to see the speed limit on Forest Lane reduced before that comes through because it's crazy on Forest Lane, the speed. And that's all I have.
On that note, Jeremiah said that he maybe sent you the screen.
Mhm.
Can
Well,
the council get that so that they can see those, see the numbers and what the.
It's kind of tough to read, but no.
Oh, well, or get something that we can ask them for something we can read, because I think it's important to get kind of information.
And then lastly, I'll make sure that I follow up with Crofton and get this updated and get it back to council. And then lastly, you Kathy, do you have anything?
I don't know.
All right, I will
Make a motion to adjourn.
second.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, guys.
Next city on the bridge. That Oliver.
Yeah, we've been good. Yeah, we've been